Well, good afternoon and welcome to the second day of the European Team Championship Super League. This year it's coming to you from the Zavisa Stadium, or also known as the Bydgoszcz Stadium here in Bydgoszcz. Well, we've had a fine start to proceedings yesterday evening. Many of it was heats in the sprints, but we also had two finals in the field events to get things going with the women's discus and the men's javelin. Two emphatic wins for Germany. We'll talk a little bit more about them in a moment. There's the weather report. Well, to be honest, it's rather dull and cloudy overhead. We are expecting some rain later on, hopefully not too strong, but it's very, very humid indeed. 27 degrees at the moment. It will get a little bit cooler towards 8 o'clock because we've got 4 hours of action ahead of you with 20 events to be decided. 13 on the track, 7 in the field. Well, we can just see very shortly the women's pole vaulters will get underway, and these are some of the characters who will be in action. Well, we've got a plethora of European champions, both indoors and out. We've even got some world champions and Olympic champions. There's the standings after two events yesterday. Germany taking maximum points with victories thanks to Claudine Witter and Julian Weber in the women's discus and the men's javelin. And this is a very good opportunity, since we're talking about German dominance, to welcome my co-commentator. I'm Phil Minchell, and alongside me is Michelle Sammert. Good afternoon,
Phil.
Michelle.
Hello.
Well, it was a good start for Germany.
Yeah, I tried to hide my enthusiasm a little. I don't think I was very successful at that.
We won't blame you for that.
Thank you. But I do think it was a good start for us, but having had a look at the Polish team, I think it will be a tough ask for the Germans to continue that strong performance they've put on the first day. There we can see the pole vault final of the women is ready to go in due course. We can see the athletes just having some final preparations there on the runway. I know they moved the bed a little yesterday just to make the conditions perfect for the athletes. There we can see the start list, 12 athletes, points being given out to each of them. The winner will receive 12 points, second 11, and so forth. And of course, the main woman to watch here in this field will be Kat Stefanidi of Greece, the defending champion at this championships, but also the reigning world, Olympic, European and Diamond League champion.
Well, we're seeing there the event record, not ER, that's European record. The event record is the CR, which is 475. I mean, I think there's every chance that that could go today. Depends on if the breeze really just calms down just a little bit, because it is a little bit windy at the moment.
It is, and the other thing that we need to consider is that the rules in this competition are slightly different, in that athletes only have 4 failures in total. So that is something that we'll be talking about in a bit as well. But there we can see the athletes now lining up. They're leading the lineup is Angelika Moser of Switzerland, who's had a great performance here in 2016 when she won the World Under-20 title in this very stadium. There's a few athletes who were in that particular championships. There we can see Vilma Muoto, another one of those of Finland, who won bronze that year. But let's go back through the lineup here. The women's pole vault final ready to get underway in just a few minutes. There is Angelika Moser of Switzerland, 2014 Youth Olympic champion. For Poland, for the home nation here, Kamila Pryszpila, 23-year-old. There is the woman I already mentioned. The woman to watch, Katarina Stefanidi, for Greece, looking to get maximum points. And Miren Bartolome there for Spain, just 21 years of age. Marina Kulipko of the Ukraine shared the European indoor bronze in 2017. There for Italy, Sonia Malavis, easy. And for the Czech Republic, we have Romana Malachkova. And another very talented athlete, just last week won the German title, Lisa Rojsic. The French record holder, Ninon Guillaume-Marin. And for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Sophie Cook. There is the 2015 European Under-23 champion, Angelika Bengtsson, and completing the lineup in this field is Vilma Muoto of Finland. And as I said, she won a medal here in 2016 at the World Junior Championships. Also holds the World Junior record from back in 2016. So it's a strong field, I think. What do you think, Phil?
Very strong indeed. I mean, I'm very interested to see how Bengtsson is going to go. She's been in fine form recently, really recapturing the form that took her to so many titles as a under-20 and under-23 athlete. We're starting, well, 4:06. There's not too many of the women who are going to be ahead attempting that height. It's going to be quite a long competition despite the specialist rules for the team championships, which Michelle mentioned, and indeed a lot of the field events do have specially adapted rules for this particular event. In the vertical jumps, we were talking about the fact that there's only 4 failures allowed for each competitor. In the horizontal jumps, it's only 4 attempts for the best 4. The rest of the field, everybody has 3 attempts, and then the best 4 go forward to a spotlight round, if you like.
You mentioned the opening height there, Phil, and I've got the height progression here in front of me. So 4:06, the opening one, 4:21, 4:36, 4:46, 4:56, 4:61, and 4:66. So the likes of Kat Stefanidi might actually not be entering for quite some time. I think there was talk that when they were warming up, the highest warm-up height was supposed to be 4:30, and I was speaking with her yesterday indeed, and she said it's actually quite hard for someone who is a regular 4:70 jumper to jump those lower heights. So it's actually quite some adaptation that is required there. So we'll see at what height she will enter.
Well, we were just looking there and we're seeing Kamila Przybyla, the Polish athlete. Polish women's high jump, I should say pole vaulting, going through a bit of a trough at the moment after some fantastic years. I mean, you're travelling on the international circuit, and yet the men are going from strength to strength. Peter Lisek, who we're going to be seeing tomorrow, is really one of the favourites for a medal, not only here, but obviously at the World Championships in Doha.
Absolutely. I mean, as you said, Piotr's cleared 6:01 in Lausanne and then 6:02, I think it was in Monaco. And I think he also won a street vault just last night in Germany in Ulm. So he's really in fine form. And as you said, yes, the Polish women recently have been not quite that strong, but I'm sure it's, as many events is, they will be finding back to strength very soon as we look to the next event.
Yes, it's the men's long jump. So going on almost simultaneously in the field, along with the women's pole vault, will be the men's long jump. The first event on the track is the men's 400 metres hurdles, and that'll be coming up at 16:30 local time here in Bydgoszcz, and that's Central European time. As we look here at Christian Pula, the reigning Finnish long jump champion. A very good Swiss jumper, Jada Beer, European Junior silver medal, quickly went through the screen. That's Tomasz Jaszek, 4th at the European Indoors 2 years ago. Here's a man we're very interested in seeing. He's won everything so far on the continental stage in the last few years. Militaris Tentoglou. Eusebio Katharis, well, he seems to have been around forever, but he's still only 27 years of age. The former European under-20 champion. This is Yaroslav Ishenko, Ukrainian teams champion. Perhaps one of the outsiders to do well here, as we see Filippo Randazzi. And this is the Czech athlete, Jiří Vondracek, 6 times Czech champion at the triple jump, really dropping in, help out the team here. Julian Howard, well, he's been around many, many years, many competitions. Augustin Bay of France has improved this year to 7.78. Jacob Finch-Dukes, another man in good form. Gone over 8 meters for the first time this year. And Andreas Carlsson brings the 12-men lineup to a conclusion. Really, the one person we're looking at is going to be Tentoglou, along with Kat Stefanidi. Greece's big hopes for maximum points and giving them a fighting chance of really avoiding the drop, because this year there's going to be 5 teams that go down to the first division in 2021.
And there we go. First attempt in this women's pole vault for the Polish athlete, Kamila Przybyla, twice the Polish indoor champion. has a personal best of 440 and jumped 430 this year so far. But as we said, there's only 4 failures in these pole vault in high jump competitions. And since it's all about the team points, you really want to make at least your opening high to make sure that you do get some points down for the team. There is already the first failure. Might have jinxed that a little bit. I do apologize to the Polish team.
Yeah, it's not a good start for Bydgoszcz, unfortunately. Never looked as though she really got in the air.
But I think it is tricky, as you said. The wind does seem to be swirling a little. I'm looking at the flags at the far side of the stadium. From the angle we're looking at here, actually. And it does seem to be quite temperamental there, the conditions out there. And we can see the next event is already lining up. So we'll have a lot of field events taking place on either side of the stadium. So the home straight is the long jump. On the far end, we have the pole vault. And coming up next is the men's high jump, but back to the long jump for now.
Jared Beer, European under-20 silver medalist, just a couple of weeks ago when he took second place in the Swedish town of Borås. A nice start, a better start, shall we say, compared to the Polish pole vaulter for the Swiss long jumper. Gets the white flag. Long jumpers jump directly in front of mine and Michelle's commentary position, so shouldn't have too many problems spotting which are legal jumps and which are not. Just over 7 meters, yes, 7.25 to get things going. 1.8 meters per second following wind. It's Thomas Jaszczuk. Jaszczuk has got some very good credentials indeed. Second in the European Under-20 Championships. In those days it was called the European Junior Championships, back in 2011. And at best is an 8.18 jumper. Has been over 8 meters this year as well. Spot on the board, and that, this very early stage of the competition, is the best jump we've seen so far. European Team Championships record, a very mighty 8.36 to the Russian Alexander Menkov back in 2013. Nice, so it's almost exactly around the 8 meter mark. You're looking at it on the replay with those superimposed lines.
And there it's really interesting because he had that second to last step before the ball really short, so he could go down and then really catapult himself up. So that looked like a very good jump from the pole indeed.
7.95, just 5 centimeters short of that 8 meter line, but that's a sort of distance that could well see him through to the top 4 and getting an extra jump. Now Militadis Tentoglu, he's won everything that there is to offer him on the continental stage. European champion indoors and out, European under-23 champion a few weeks ago. Very quick on the run up, but just runs through. Gets a white flag, so they will measure it, but it's about the 7 meter mark. Never quite gets it together.
I wish I could run through and get a 7 meter mark.
You'd be in the German team then.
I would indeed, wouldn't I? Well, Malai can be humble, might have a word to say there.
Probably the one occasion when you wouldn't get in the German team. Well, 7 meters exactly, and a wind-assisted 7 meters with 2.4 following wind. Now, Eusebio Caceres, 4th at the 2013 World Championships, and another few 4th places to his name as well at the 2014 Europeans, and earlier this year in Glasgow, the European Indoor Championships this year. Looks like a red flag to me. Yes, glancing across, I can see that the official has raised a red flag. Very quick, he's a very good sprinter, has on occasions been part of the Spanish 4x100 meters relay team. Just repairing the plasticine. He'll adjust his run-up, I've no doubt, just a little bit. Caceres at one point was the European under-20 record holder. This is Yaroslav Ishachenko. 24 years of age, has improved to 790 this year recently. Better known as a triple jumper, he's a 60-metre plus triple jumper that seems to have switched events this year. They're just taking their time repairing the plasticine on that particular board. Gets the white flag. Doesn't look as though it's particularly far, and you can see he's not terribly impressed with his own effort.
As we can see there, the pole vaulters getting ready. Kamila Bydgoszcz attempting that 4:06 for a second time, and there she goes clear, to the delight of the crowd here in Bydgoszcz. And I'm sure she'll be relieved to have that mark on the board. As we said, it's all about getting those points for your team, but she will have that one failure on the board for her and only 3 more remaining. That looked much better than that first attempt, though.
That was a very solid jump from the pole. Just to jump in, though, I mean, it was slightly disconcerting, but in fact, Bydgoszcz wasn't terribly impressed with his own jump. But we didn't see the caption, but it was 791, a personal best by a centimetre.
Might have been a bit deceptive there. As we take a look now at the Spanish athlete here in the pole vault, Miriam Bartolome, one of the younger ones, but there's a few 21-year-olds in this field. Set her personal best of 4:42 this year. But that looked a bit laborious there. He's lacking a bit of speed, I think, and gestures there over to her coach. Has 2 failures at this opening height, so could be tight for the Spaniard and would be disappointing for the team.
Well, numerous pundits have made predictions about how these team competition is going to unfold, and it's great fun speculating, but Spain could well get dragged into the relegation battle, and certainly they need every point they can get from the women's pole vault. In the men's long jump, it's Filippo Randazzo, newly minted Italian champion. Well, he's happy with that. Looks like a good jump indeed. Once again, probably around the 790 mark. Has a personal best of 8:04, dating back to 2017. Back in 2015, he was the European under-20 bronze medalist, but hasn't done very much since then, really.
And we didn't get the lineup in the men's high jump, but they have actually started. So I will talk you through the field in a minute. There we can see the French athlete attempting his first jump and goes clear. That is William Aubertin, the French champion, and goes clear at 2:02, his opening height. Very nice clearance indeed there, just towards the end. Might have wobbled the bar a bit with his backside, but still very good, and at least the opening height cleared. For those high jumpers, of course, the same rules apply as the pole vaulters, and they're only allowed 4 failures each. There we have the Swedish athlete, Simon Wiklund, just 19 years, won the Swedish junior title in 2017 and 2018. Also clears that 2:16, his personal best from earlier this year. Maybe to point out here in the field is the reigning European champion from Berlin last year, Mateusz Szpilko of Germany. But he has struggled a bit with form since that European final in Berlin last year.
Yeah, he had injuries during the indoor season. We were expecting him to show well at the European indoors, and indeed he did jump 2:28 in the Glasgow final, or rather in the qualifying to make the final, and then has been really struggling ever since.
He did mention that he was a bit overwhelmed after Berlin and struggled mentally with the pressure and all the attention suddenly being invited on TV shows and all sorts, and actually considered briefly taking some time out after Berlin, but is slowly finding back into his shape, and as we said, won the German title last weekend in Berlin again. But here we have another young promising athlete on the runway in the women's pole vault with Angelika Moser. Won a lot of age group medals, 2014 Youth Olympic champion, 2015 European Junior champion, and as I said, won the World Junior title in this very stadium. It's a bit of a surprise in 2016, and since then has won European Under-23 titles on 2 occasions, so really accomplished athlete. Her personal best is 4:61, so these heights, opening heights, will be should be fairly easy for the Swiss athlete. There we can see it. She passed on the 4:06 and is now entering at 4:21. Very good clearance there from the Swiss. A lot of space between her and the bar, but of course it can be a little deceptive as the main peak point in the competition can be deceptive in terms of how you clear. No problem with clearances for the Polish high jumper in this field. Norbert Kobielski clearing this bar with ease. Just waiting to confirm which height this was, as I'm not sure whether it was a replay. At the moment, the bar is at 2:07. As we look back at the...
That was 2:07 for the pole. So on the long jump, we have Christian Pulli. Had a good first round jump. We didn't see it, but Pulli had a very nice effort in the first round of 7:71, and that looks more or less around the same distance for the Finn. Pulli, just like one or two of the other competitors, better known as a triple jumper, but still an accomplished long jumper. The best of 8:07. To be more focusing on the long jump, so 7:66, just 5 centimeters shy of his first round effort.
As we move back to the pole vault, and Kamila Szpila looks a bit more fired up now than in that first attempt, maybe inspired by her teammates on the other side of the stadium. And yes, that was a very good clearance for her. Big roar from the crowd here. It's filled up very nicely in that stand around the pole vault where the athletes are actually running up, and first time clearance at 4:21 for Szpila.
Looks as though she's got a bit more of a technique grooved in after that first time failure at the opening height.
And 4:21 is actually not that far away from her season's best of 4:30, so definitely good performance there for her.
So back to the long jump. We're swapping between the field events here, and obviously we are concentrating a little bit on the local athletes, the Poles. This is Tomasz Jasiuk, coming here on the back of 2 good wins in international competitions, both in Chorzow and Leverkusen. Now Jasiuk in the first round. first round he had 7.95. Well, he gets the white flag. Just uses the simple hang technique, and again a good, nice long jump. Bang on the board. Sometimes we see close-ups of the foot plant against the plasticine. So 7.96, an improvement, 1 centimetre improvement. We didn't see the distance for Randazzo, but we saw it was a good jump. In fact, it was 8 metres exactly. And well, this is Tentoglu after that rather abortive effort in the first round. Now needs to really make a marker. I mean, he just seems to be able to produce 8-metre jumps almost at will. Probably a good opportunity to do what he does best. He's very much a big-time performer. We've seen that so often in the last few years. Just preparing himself, and Tentoglu now 21 years of age. Well, gets a red flag. He's in a bit of trouble now. I mean, he is a clutch performer. He's a big-time athlete without a doubt, but he's only got 1 jump remaining to really make a statement as far as the points are concerned.
And that could be a big blow for the Greek team if he were to not become one of those top 4 scorers here. Well,
it's potential for the first shock. He's just about 3 centimetres. We got the exact measurement there at 2.6 centimetres. Let's just round it up to 3. So at the moment, Tentoglu in a bit of trouble. I mean, he's such an experienced performer despite only being 21 years of age. I'm sure he can adjust and just make sure he gets a very good jump in. Eusebio Cáceres, well, had a foul in the first round. Cáceres jumped the massive 8.37 back in 2013, has sort of plateaued out since then, his career. Still fairly consistent. It was only the second choice, came in as a replacement for the European under-20 silver medalist Hector Santos. That's white flag, that's okay. He's smiling, it looks a bit better. Has a bit of a reputation as an erratic performer, but when he does get it right, he goes a very long distance indeed. Well, 8.02, so Cáceres goes into the lead now. 2 men, 8 metres and better.
But look at the wind reading, it was 3.2 and the previous jump was only 1.2, so the winds really are playing havoc with these performances.
Yes, it's really a case of them finding the perfect wave. This man did it in the first round. Yaroslav Isashenko getting a personal best with a 1.8 following win, so a legal win. 7.91. Oh no. He's lying in 4th place at the moment. Behind Cáceres, Randazzo and Yashuk. See him again. Not quite as quick as some of the other jumpers on the run-up. I mean, still very fine athlete. I don't have a personal best for him, but I'm guessing he's around a 10-600 metre man. And Randazzo, who went out to 8 metres in the first round. So he's in form. Just 4 centimetres shy of his lifetime best with that first effort. High stepping again, about 8 metres. There's the white flag. Oh no, it was a red flag just into the plasticine. There you can see. It was a good jump. So he's having a good competition at the moment. Season's best, first time over 8 meters this year for the Italian. This is Jiří Vondráček, 6 times Czech champion at the triple jump. Really helping the team out a little bit here. Has improved to 760 this year, but 30 years of age, one of the older competitors in this field. That is 730, well, windy 730 in the first round, so has some points to his name, but not only 2. Now that was clearly a very solid jump on the board, but not going to trouble the top 4. Well, the Czechs doing well in the first 2 events yesterday. They're in 4th place overall with 15 points, so not having a bad competition so far, but very early stages. Now Julian Howard, 747, modest by his own standards in the first round, but a very seasoned international competitor. So the white flag raised for Howard. Now you can see his head bobbing from side to side. I don't think he's too happy with that. It's a little bit deceptive, the camera angles and the superimposed lines. Howard had 747 in the first round, improves to 779. Doesn't quite get him into the top 4 though, but he's got one more jump to come as we look at Augustin Bay. Bay. Not one of the quicker men on the board. Well, the first event on the track will be coming up very shortly, and that's the men's 400 meters hurdles. We've also got, in the early part of this afternoon, the 2 100-meter finals, which I know both myself and Michelle are looking forward to immensely after some very good performances in the heats yesterday. Well, we can see there the full lineup. 2 men to pick out are in lanes 6 and 7. It's Ludi Vaillant and Patrick Dobek. Both were very impressive with heat wins yesterday. Well, Carsten Warholm holds both the European record and this particular team championships record. Not too sure. Couldn't potentially see that team championships record challenge. Dobek ran 48.80 yesterday, a season's best, and he is second on the European rankings this year to Warholm. Warholm, of course, quite a long way away ahead of anyone else in Europe at the moment, though. So on the outside, it's Luke Campbell. Campbell, US-based at Salisbury University for much of the year, second in the German championships recently. Christmas Alistair, the 23-year-old, who's improved to 49.39 this year. And there's the man who's getting the roars and is certainly the favourite for this event, and perhaps bagging 12 points for Poland, Patrick Dobek. Ludi Vaillant, well, very talented Frenchman, has run under 49 seconds last year. Vic Muller showed very well with a tremendous burst down the home straight to capture his place in the final yesterday. Sergio Fernandez, the Spanish record holder, is in lane 4. Not quite showing his best form this year. Nevertheless, tall Spaniard can really produce it on a good day. And the Finnish record holder inside him in lane 3, Oskari Moro. And lane 2 is filled with the 2017 European Under-23 silver medalist, Danny Brandt, coming in for the former European champion, Karim Hussein. Well, just look for the air defenders if the Poles win, because you've already been able to hear that in this stadium, well, there's about 5,000 people here. It's not full, but there's certainly a good, attentive and very, very educated crowd here, and they're certainly going to help raise the roof here at the Zavisa Stadium if Dobek can take all 12 points. So as they settle into their blocks, it's Brand on the inside in lane 2 for Switzerland, Moro Finland, Fernandez Spain, Muller Czech Republic, Vaillant France, Dobek Poland, McAllister Great Britain, and Campbell on the outside in lane 9 for Germany. And Dobek out in lane 6, and Vaillant already really starting to work very hard. Also on the outside, Campbell having a good first bend. Campbell's the first to rise over that hurdle, and Campbell is really streaking away around the back straight. Dobek now starting to claw back ground on McAllister on his outside, but at the moment Campbell out in lane 9, right tight against the boards, is doing extremely well at this stage. Vaillant and Dobek on their inside in 6 and 7, running very well, but Campbell coming into the home straight in the lead. 2 barriers to go. Now Vaillant starts to charge. Also Muller coming through very well. Vaillant, Campbell starting to tire now. Dobek finds another gear. Dobek the pole comes through to take victory in 48.88 unofficially, followed home by Vaillant, and then Campbell on the outside taking 3rd from the looks of things. But Dobek, well, you can tell the decibel count has risen, and it's the first home win of this weekend for host Poland here in the Zavisa Stadium.
And what a performance there. If we see on the outside, the German Campbell still leading at that very hurdle, but then Vaillant also looking strong. Müller there had a great run yesterday, and this is now where Dobek shifts the gears and finds that last few meters strength, and really probably roared on by the crowd, is taking that first victory of the weekend for Poland. And I wish you could have seen the crowd around us. They were all on their feet, waving scarves and hats and all sorts around. Fantastic win there for Patryk Dobek.
Yes, he's really come here with a point to prove, because he only took 3rd at the World Student Games 3 weeks ago. And I know he was disappointed with that. He was looking for a gold medal or at least a silver. And he ran a season's best in the heats, just outside it on this occasion.
And if I recall correctly, Campbell did something very similar yesterday, where he went out pretty hard and then just got caught towards the end, and maybe that's the style that he has, and just hopes he can hang on for dear life in an event like this. Of course, very hard, but great fighting spirit there from Patryk Dobek.
Well, yes, I mean, Campbell in 3rd. He's only a year younger than Dobek. Dobek's got a lot more international experience, but I do like the look of Campbell, I have to say, and maybe with a bit more international experience and a year under his belt, well, maybe next year he can challenge for medals at the 2020 European Championships.
And of course, he is coached by Volker Beck, former Olympic champion, when he is finding himself in Germany. So maybe he's getting some tips there that will take him further.
Confirmation of the final result, and Poland's Patryk Dobek wins in 48.87, followed home by Ludwig Vaillant and Luke Campbell. And of course, you can get full results on the European Athletics website, european-athletics.org. We look at Thomas Jaszczuk from one pole to another. Well, he gets the white flag there. Jaszczuk at the moment in third place after that 7.96, then 7.95, 7.96, and that looks a good jump as well. Yasha, consistent performer, always does pretty well in the big championships without really igniting the fireworks. But there we go, 7.99. So another improvement from Tomasz Yasha.
That's what you want from a competition like this, just gradual improvements there for the pole. And here's, of course...
Well, yes, I mean, it's this is crunch time for Militaris Tentoglou. This is halfway through the third round, and Tentoglou lying in plumb last at the moment, 12th place with that run through which was marked at 7 meters in the first round. Fouling is second. In fourth place at the moment, Christian Pulli of Finland with 7.91, but really he wants to jump over 8 meters because there's still quite a few jumpers to go. It's a white flag, that's for sure. It's a good jump, but well, I think we can see on the replay it's a very good jump indeed. It looks over 8 meters, that's for sure. It looks a long way over 8 meters. Well, 8.30. It was 2 centimeters short of his personal best. I wonder if he'd got a personal best, we could actually get a smile out of him. Doesn't look terribly happy. I mean, I think that's clinched the competition. There's nobody else who, on current form, is going to get close to him. Eusebio Caceres having a very good competition at 8.02. Now a whopping 28 centimetres behind him. And I know we've got a large audience in the United States. That's almost a foot. That's just over 11 inches.
I'm glad you know that because I have no idea.
Let's have a look there. Well, no, it was a red flag. I'll tell you that before we actually see it. It looked like it with the naked eye, and I've just glanced across. And yes, indeed. So a foul for Caceres, but he's still in second place. And even though we still have quite a number of jumpers to come, I think Caceres looks as though he's well on his way to getting another jump in the fourth round when we have the spotlight on him. Caceres jumps 5th in the echelon.
And we are moving straight over to the track again for the second final of the night. And there could be another victory in this race for Poland. Can they continue the winning streak that Patrick Drobek just started in the 400 hurdles? As we take a look there in lane 5, the woman sitting down, looking quite relaxed. Eva Svoboda has won 2 European titles already this year. 1 indoors over 60 meters and 1 under 23 title at this event just a few weeks ago. And there we can see there's actually a DNS on the outside on the inside actually in lane 3, Lisa Marie Quaye, the German. So I wonder whether there might have been a last-minute injury niggle in warm-up, because otherwise they probably would have been able to field a replacement.
Yes, I mean, can't field a replacement, but she will be credited with 8th place effectively because she didn't qualify for the final. So Germany will get 5 points out of this, or possibly, speaking very, very hypothetically, if there's a DNF, then there would also be sharing of the points for having not finished in the final.
But let's take a look at this full lineup in this women's 100-meter final. As I said, heats yesterday. This is the final now. In lane 2, Zainab Dosso for Italy, 19 years young. Got one of the time qualifiers in yesterday's heat. Close to her personal best, actually. Then in lane 2, of course, is the DNS for Germany with Lisa Marie Quaye. And here we have the Greek athlete Rafaelia Spanoudaki Hatsiriga. Performed well in the 100 meters and the 200 meters. And here the woman I mentioned, big cheer from the crowd, Eva Svoboda. Doesn't want to get too excited, but she knows it's hers to lose. Great performance yesterday from Carole Zahi, the French woman, who won her heat. And the fastest in qualifying yesterday for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Daryl Nita, great prospect, just 22 years young as well. For the Czech Republic, we have Klára Seidlová, the Czech record holder at 60 meters. And completing the lineup in lane 9 for Spain, we have Gael Bestouet. Again, another great prospect, just 18 years, won World Youth Silver back in Nairobi in 2017, and just recently a European Under-20 bronze in Boras. So, young field, very young field. I think the oldest is 25, and some very good prospects. The ones to watch will be in lane 5, 6, and 7. So, going through the lineup once more, it's Dosso for Italy, then an empty lane because there's a DNS for Germany. Greece, Svoboda for Poland, Zahi for France, Nita for Great Britain, Seidlová for Czech Republic, and Bestouet for Spain.
Set.
Oh. What happened? It looked like there was a fault with the gun. We could hear something, but it did sound a little quiet, so I wonder... I don't think there will be any issues in terms of false starts or anything.
There wasn't anything obvious with the naked eye that would warrant a warning or a disqualification, but it was a bit unfortunate that the recall gun should have gone a lot quicker, to be honest, because there was several athletes who went more than 50 meters down the track. The referee seems to be having a word with Daryl Nita, but certainly as far as I was concerned, there was nothing faulty with her particular start.
I don't think so. I think he's just explaining to the pair of them that it wasn't anyone's fault, because as I said, it was very quiet, the gun, and there was no recall, so I do wonder whether there was a technical issue in that event. Looks like Daryl Nita actually...
So she wasn't steady in her blocks.
Of
and
course.
That's what the Polish TV camera people are picking up.
And we can see the Greek athlete just in lane 3 there, also slightly alongside her.
Well, it wasn't immediately obvious, the situation with Nita, but you can see on the replay there, she wasn't steady in her blocks.
Of course, also, it's the blocks that actually have measuring tools in them that help in these cases, and it might be a matter, as you say, if she wasn't steady in the block, whether there was just a bit of pressing from her foot going into the block that set off the gun, but there was, of course, no recall. So let's wait and see here what the officials are doing in this women's 100 meters. Nita, as I said, the fastest qualifier yesterday with 11:19. And we can see now the official coming across. Shows a green card all round, so no disqualifications. There we can see Spanudaki Hatzirega kind of steadying everyone. Maybe the crowd got a little excited there. With so many other field events going on, there might have been a bit of noise, but as you can see there, no false start, new start. Of course, Svoboda, the Polish athlete in lane 5, got disqualified at the last edition of these championships in Lille. They might be holding the athletes just a little bit there because, as you mentioned, 2 of them actually did run half of the race, so it might be a matter of just giving them a short breather, since it doesn't seem to have been any of the athletes' fault. So is that Daryl Nita walking off? Oh, she's getting some water.
Yes, several of the athletes we saw Svoboda there just having a tiny sip of water from the water bottles.
Of course, it's not as bad as we saw at the Monaco Diamond League a few weeks ago, where we had a 400-meter race and some of the athletes didn't hear the gun, and we had one of the athletes completing the full 400 meters. So I'm sure Daryl Nita's glad that she only did 50 meters here of the 100.
Yes, and I think it was Zahi who also went a long distance, as well as Spanudaki Hatzirega. Nevertheless, I don't think it'll perturb the women too much, as you rightly say, just giving them a minute or two extra. Quite a sympathetic timetable. The next track event is scheduled to get underway in 10 minutes' time.
Something nice to observe here as we take a look and wait for the athletes to get ready. Down by the finish line has already a big crowd developed, and they're all waiting for Eva Svoboda to finish to get an autograph and maybe a selfie. That's always nice to see. This stadium really lends itself to the crowd as well with regards to this. So there we can see the athletes getting ready to go in the blocks now, and all eyes from this stadium crowd on lane 5 and Eva Svoboda, the pole. Didn't have the best of starts yesterday. Daryl Nita got out really well. Svoboda took a little longer to get rolling, but of course just the heats. Finally in the women's 100.
Set.
And off they go, and we can see Svoboda here with a fantastic start. Gets away really well, and now it's Zahi and Nita catching up with her. Nita now going strong, and if Zahi holds on, I think it's the French woman who actually gets the race here. The 25-year-old, second at the French Championships, wins this race in 11:31. Very good start from Svoboda, but the confirmed winner in this race is Carole Zahi with maximum points for France. Second place is Daryl Nita, confirmed, and Eva Svoboda for Poland in third.
Well, an outstanding start from Eva Svoboda, but when we look at this replay of the race, I mean, Carole Zahi had a good start as well. She was only a fraction behind Svoboda over the first 30 metres, and then really pours it on with Nita also coming through very well over the final 50 metres. Zahi really loves this event. Second win on the trot at these European Team Championships, Super League, having taken the victory back in 2017. And the time, well, time doesn't really matter. It was into a 2.5 metres per second wind.
And Svoboda, of course, she's so accomplished indoors over the 60 metres, and we could see that in her approach to this race, the start. But then towards the end, this is where Zahi really could take over as we get the results confirmed here. 11:31 for Zahi and maximum points. Nita 11:33, 35 for Svoboda. And there you can see as points are being awarded, Germany down there with 5 points with a DNS, and then the points remaining from yesterday's races. As we take a look back at the development in the women's pole vault. And back to the woman we saw earlier, struggle a little with her opening height. Kamila Prišpila, the pole, had one failure now at 4:36, which would be a season's best for her and close to her personal best of 4:40. It already touches the bar there as she rises. Not quite happy. She's got 2 more failure possibilities.
Just to give you a rolling update on the team standings, 4 out of the 40 events completed. Poland go into the lead following that victory of Patrick Dobek with 41 points, 2 ahead of Germany, and France now third with 37 points.
And we take a look there at the men's high jump. From one Polish athlete to another. We are at 2 meters and 17. Norbert Kobielski. Pretty good run for him so far with 2 first-time clearances. Has a personal best from this year of 2:27, so looks very good. Much to the delight of the crowd. And of course, as we mentioned, in this competition, there's only 4 failures in total allowed, so every single clearance matters. But a very good run for the pole, indeed. As we move over to the next field event that's starting in due course.
Well, yes, we've already got the women's pole vault, the men's high jump and long jump going on, and now we have the men's hammer. Well, 12 men, and this is another event where Poland should do very well indeed, with Wojciech Nowitzki, the European leader, with 81.74 this year. Just shy of his personal best of 81.85 from last year. And Nowitzki, one of the many European champions competing in this event. Now, if he can reach his best, could challenge that championship record that came from Paweł Fajdek, his compatriot, back in 2015. This is the former world junior under-20 record holder, Javier Cienfuegos, who's started once again at 29 years of age to really improve, getting closer to the 80-meter mark. Serhij Pedovozhnikov, the emerging Ukrainian talent. And at 41 years of age, I think he's the oldest man in this competition, maybe the oldest athlete here, Marko Linguia. Patrick Hajek of Czech Republic, followed closely by Tristan Schranke, German champion for the first time a few weeks ago. His man, former European under-20 champion, Quentin Bydgoszcz from France. Nick Miller, well, many people have this man, last year's Commonwealth Games champion, as perhaps challenging Nowitzki for top honours. Has thrown over 80 metres and has been throwing well again this year, Nick Miller, of Britain. Matthias Lindberg, 29 years of age. This is only his second ever major international competition. He went to the World Student Games a few years ago. Aaron Kangas, well, Aaron Kangas, 22 years of age. Saw him recently in the European Under-23 Championships. And 35-year-old Martin Dingisser, full-time lawyer, part-time hammer thrower, the Swiss athlete. Nowitzki just walking through. I'm sure we'll be seeing lots of him, and I'll tell you more about him as we look at the 12th and final man in the lineup. Michael Anastaskis of Greece, 5 times Greek champion. So there's the full lineup for the men's hammer. And just a reminder, like with the horizontal jumps and all the other throws, each competitor has 3 attempts, and the best 4 go on to the spotlight round.
There we can already see the next track event getting ready as well, the women's 800.
Yes, we managed to get the women's 100 metres sorted out after that brief pause, and the women are out for the 800 metres. We're just saying goodbye to some of the long jumpers, including Germany's Julian Howard. Also departing, Jiří Vondraček of the Czech Republic. And this indeed is now the focus of attention on the top 4. Tomasz Jaszczuk, steadily improved through the rounds, lying in 4th with 7.99. Only needs to improve 1 centimetre, because Filippo Randazzo is in 3rd place with 8 metres. So, one of those athletes who likes quiet for his performances. Many competitors try and encourage the crowd to get behind them. The rhythmic clapping. Jaszczuk, well, I think he prefers to just be able to focus on the task ahead.
Here comes the clap.
Oh, well, whether he likes it or not. I think they actually mistook him swatting a fly for actually encouraging the crowd there. And there are a few bugs around, but... Oh, now he does. Changes his mind.
You have a home crowd, you might as well use it.
Well, it's around 8 metres again. Gets the white flag. It is a good jump. Very consistent series from Jaszczuk. Has been close on so many different occasions to getting a medal. 4th at the European Indoors back in 2017, which is where he made his big breakthrough. Well, he does improve to 8 meters, has improved every single round, and he moves up to third on the basis of second best jump. Now, how does Randazzo respond to that? Randazzo had a season's best of 8 meters, as a personal best of 8:04. And one of Randazzo's fouls, one of the second round effort, was also a very good jump indeed around the 8 meter mark. That's a red flag, I'm sure, for Randazzo. Just gets into the plasticine. Nevertheless, 9 points for Italy. Whoa. Very tight indeed. And it was a good jump. It was around the 8 meter mark, but quite rightly marked as a foul. And Randazzo finishes fourth. And that's 9 points to the Italian tally. So now Eusebio Cáceres has 8:02, guaranteed 11 points for Spain, but has the mammoth distance of 8:32. Try and focus on. Nevertheless, coming in as a substitute for Hector Santos, I think, well, the Spanish team management will be very, very pleased indeed with him. Michelle and I just having a quiet piece of pizza in town last night, bumped into some of them, including the 2016 Olympic champion Ruth Bates here, and they were pretty clear that they're fighting against relegation. They were looking for good points from him, but probably not as many as 11. No, that's definitely a foul, and by rather a large margin. Nevertheless, I think you can be very pleased with his contribution. So second place and 11 points goes to the Spaniard Eusebio Cáceres, which means we know who the winner is and we know where the 12 points are going, and they're going to Greece in the shape of Militaris Tentoglou with that absolutely massive clutch jump of 8:30. Showed no fear, no nerves whatsoever in the third round, and the spotlight on him has improved this year to 8:32. Did that while winning the European Under-23 title in Yevla 3 weeks ago. And he really can turn it on the big occasion. Absolutely fearless. Oh, he's spot on the board, but no, doesn't. Pulls out midway through the jump, but applauds himself, applauds the crowd, and likewise they applaud him for putting on a very good show indeed.
I would love to be able to look into his head when he had those two, the 7 meter and that foul, because it's almost like in a multi-event where you know that that third jump really matters, whether you go for a safe option. I mean, he landed it absolutely perfectly with that 8:30, but that really took some mental strength.
Absolutely, as I was saying, yes, we've seen this on other occasions as well. He's struggling in qualifying, nails a very good qualifying mark. And not just squeaks into finals, actually makes very, very good headway indeed. As we're back on the track, and it's 2 laps of this Zavisa Stadium for the women in the 800 meters. All 12 women going in one race. As you can see, 4 lanes occupied by 2 runners. And this is a very classy field indeed. European 800 meter running haven't really been hitting the big times, but there's a lot of women in this race with very good credentials. And this is one of them, Shelena Osken-Clark, the European indoor champion back in March. Took the roars of the home crowd in Glasgow. Well, also in lane 8 was Renelle Lamotte, the European silver medalist on the last 2 occasions. This is Natalia Przyszypa. She's twice European champion when she was followed home by Lamotte. On her inside, Esther Guerrero of Spain. We'll give you the full lineup. Local cameraman a bit too quick for me. And Guerrero, well, She ran in the European cross-country championships where she really extended a different distance and provided a very crucial leg to the Spanish team that took gold in the mixed relay in Tilburg last December. As we look at Oscar Clark, so from the inside we have Lint of Sweden, Kuvisto of Finland, Sklarbas of Switzerland, the European under-20 1500-meter champion, Sabat of Poland, Yanopoulou of Greece, Guerrero of Spain, Przyszypa of Ukraine, Koro, Italy, Mezielenkova of Czech Republic, Herring of Germany, Lamotte of France, and Oscar Clark of Great Britain. So a big bunched field. Przyszypa, two-time European champion, clearly the favourite, but Oscar Clark and Lamotte must surely enter the reckoning as we go through 200 metres. Only looking as though it's
Herring,
the Greek, being dropped. But we see the very tall figure of Christina Herring, just a few weeks ago won the World Student Games silver medal in Napoli. And Guerrero, in Spanish it means warrior, and she's certainly battling here, going to the front. Taking the bell in 59.62, so a pretty useful pace for a championship race, as Herring still holds the inside and leading the rest of the runners around. Big bunch, still 11 women on the inside. At the back, the 18-year-old Italian champion, Eloisa Coro, but Coro getting back, so there's now starting to be strung out with Herring's pace. Herring still working very hard at the front, really laying down the gauntlet to the rest of the field. Lamotte now has worked her way around. So with just over 150 metres to go, it's now the Frenchman taking the lead for the first time. Herring on the inside, doing very well at this stage. Lint has moved up carefully, so too has Przyszypa. Now Przyszypa on the outside, so they're into the home straight. It's Lamotte now trying to go through the gears, but Herring working really well on the inside. The long legs of Herring briefly getting into lead, but now Lamotte goes through another gear. Chased home by Oscar Clark. But it's 12 points to France, Great Britain, Northern Ireland second, and Germany third. Unofficially, the time for Renelle Lamotte, 2:01.22.
and that was some smart running from Herring there, because she knows she hasn't got the fastest kick, so for her to really lead that field for almost the entire 2 laps is quite impressive, only for Renelle Lamotte to unleash that kick and take the win in this women's 800 metres.
Well, I think that might even be a season's best for Lamotte, because she's been racing very modestly so far this year. She won the French title in Saint-Etienne, but hasn't broken 2:02 prior to this race. There you can see Herring having done all the hard work for much of the first 700 metres, just starting to tire. Gets a second win briefly. And Oscar Clark, who's noted as a very quick finisher, closes the gap on Lamotte, perhaps slightly unsighted. Renelle Lamotte doing very well indeed.
Also a nice finish there from the Finnish athlete, Sara Kuivisto, who comes there through in 4th to get some important points for the Finnish team, who's also one of those teams that might be battling relegation to the first league.
Yes, and like Converse, perhaps not the best run from the 2-time European champion, Natalia Przyszypa. Just doesn't look sharp at this stage in the season, but I'm sure, like many athletes, focusing a bit further down the line with the World Championships coming so late on the calendar this summer.
Also good to see that Chilean Oscar Clark there has a good finishing speed. The British Championships coming up very soon as we take a look at the final results.
Yes, there we go. So season's best indeed for Renelle Lamotte at 2:01.21. Oscar Clark of Great Britain, Herring of Germany, they fill the top 3, so the points 12, 11, 10, and so on down to 12th place. Personal best, as you say, well spotted for the young Swedish, well, not so young at 27, but the Finnish athlete Sara Kuvisto, 2:01.85 she improves to. Very competent 4th place there for the Finn.
As we go back to the field events, you could see the crowd really behind the pole vault, filled up very nicely. That was a long jump graphic, but let's hope we can see.
Well, this is a good moment just to say a big thank you for European Athletics international partners, Le Gruyere, Eurovision and Spa, who have been assisting with providing this live stream. And we hope you're enjoying this coverage from Bydgoszcz. Of course, there's also a live stream going on simultaneously from the First League in Sandnes, as well as another live stream coming up in September from the inaugural The Match, Europe versus USA, first ever head-to-head outdoor duel.
And what we could hear the clapping there for, and I hope we can get to see the throw very shortly, because there was a very good throw in the hammer throw, but quickly take a look at that final result.
Yes, no doubts at all about the winner. He only needed one particularly good jump. Militadis Tentoglu taking the plaudits, and 12 points for Greece with that 8:30, followed home by Eusebio Cáceres of Spain.
There we can see the men's 400-meter finals getting ready, and the team standings. After 6 events, Poland have extended their lead only narrowly over Germany. It's very tight at the top, 58 points for the home nation. Germany with 54, the reigning champion, and France with 52. That win from Renelle Lamotte there, very useful indeed.
Also, Great Britain, Northern Ireland, after 2 events overnight, being plumb last. Not perhaps a surprise considering their strength in the women's discus and men's javelin, gradually moving up the table to challenge. Well, the Zavisa Stadium, not packed to capacity, but certainly a very attentive crowd.
As you can see there, it's very much the home straight and the second turn where the crowds have assembled for this second day of the championships, as we move straight on to the next final on the track with the 400-meter men. And similar as to what we've seen in the women's 100 meters, a DNS, and that's actually quite sad, because Carl Bengström in lane 3, who set a personal best yesterday in the heats, is not lining up. So he will get some points for this 8th position in the race, but won't be lining up. Let's take a look at this full lineup. Rafael Omelko for Poland gets a big reception here. Was part of that world record-setting relay in Birmingham indoors last year on the outside lane. Danilo Danilenko, the Ukrainian, good finishing speed yesterday in the heats in lane 8. And Fabrizio Sedi for France, a youngster in this field, 20 years, is the reigning under-23 champion. Oscar Husilos was struggling with injuries a bit, but showed good form yesterday. And the defending European team champion, Dwayne Cowan for Great Britain and Northern Ireland in lane 5. Eased off a little yesterday in the heat. He won his other heat. David Ray bettered the Italian record already twice this season. In lane 4. Lane 3, then, as I mentioned, there's a gap as Carl Bengström isn't lining up. And on the inside for Germany, Patrick Schneider got through on time yesterday in the heats. Looking at the full lineup again from the inside out. Schneider in lane 2, then a gap in lane 3. Ray for Italy in 4, Cowan in 5 for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Husilos, Spain, Sedi, France, Danilenko, Ukraine, and Omelko, Poland.
Set.
And they're off. Ray looking good there, and the Frenchman on the outside. Sedi looking very good indeed. Husilos as well. Cowan coming through, but Sedi's already made up the stagger on the Ukrainian. On his inside, Husilos of Spain also looking good. Cowan making up some very good headway. On the outside, Omelko is one to look out for because he has a very good finish, but they're coming on the home straight together now. Dwayne Cowan of Great Britain and Northern Ireland leading the field. Alongside him, the Italian David Ray looking very strong indeed. Really good form there from the Italian. As I said, already bettered the Italian record twice, and he's striding away from the field there, the Italian. Fantastic race from the former downhill skier, 54.37 for the Italian, and he will be very pleased with that win indeed, over some accomplished athletes, and that is a good win for him, don't you think, Phil?
I think that was a terrific win for him, especially down the home straight. He looked like he was skiing downhill all the way from the 300-meter mark. Very nice. Here we can see him. Well, he's back in third place at the moment, behind the Briton and the Spaniard, behind Cowan and Husilos, but then really has come of age this year and has improved the Italian record, as you rightly say, the first Italian under 45 seconds, and just seems to run away from Cowan as Cowan starts to tire and overstride. Coming through very strongly in the outside of Melko, but I think he's going to have to settle for fourth, but no doubt about it. Very nice performance from David Gray. He's the only European under 45 seconds this year. This isn't a vintage year for European 400-meter running, but he's certainly, well, he's pretty good, I think. I like the look of that. He's definitely even got more to come, I think, in the coming years.
And it's also since he's really focused on doing athletics full-time. He's a medicine student. He's been putting his studies not on hold, but he's just taking it a little easier and has been focusing more on the sport, and it's clearly shown. Is coached by Maria Chiara Miladi and based in the north of Italy, and clearly doing very well indeed. He's also a qualified ski instructor, so once he retired from his slalom downhill performances, still stuck with the skis. So
he might choose to go into the medical profession, you never know.
As we go back to the men's high jump, and Norbert Kobielski has two failures at this height at 2:22. Can he get over? Oh yes, he can. Crowd very pleased there. He encourages them a bit, and he's probably been carried on by the crowd in that corner around the high jump. Very good performance indeed for him. Has a personal best of 2:27, so not too far away from that actually.
Yes, some of the top Polish high jumpers unfortunately injured at the moment.
There we have the final results of this men's 400 meters, and as we can see, Ray, the only guy under 46 really, Dwayne Cowan, the defending champion, in second, and Husilos performing a little under his abilities there in third.
And the point being made, as you can see, the DNS, Carl Bengtström, because he did qualify for the final, he gets the minimum amount of points as you would get from the final. So despite not starting, the Swede does get 5 points.
Back now in the women's pole vault, where the bar is up at 4:46. Marina Kilipo, the Ukrainian, attempting this height. Clearance from her. Very pleased with that, judging by her reaction. Marino Kilipo shared a European indoor bronze with Angelika Bengtsson, actually, who's also in this field of Sweden. And it's just looking there at her jump with the coach, and really good form there from the Ukrainian at this height of 4:46. Had 2 failures so far, but this one was a first-time clearance for her, and it currently means she is in the lead. Stefanidi, the Olympic champion, hasn't entered the competition yet.
So now the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase, and with all events from 800 meters upwards, it's run as a straight final. The class act in here, of course, without a doubt, Geisa Felicitas Krauser. She won in Lille 2 years ago. She's the best part of 10 seconds faster on this season's form than anybody else in this field. Quite a diverse range of abilities here. We've got Krauser at one end of the scale, having run a personal best of 9:15.70 and run 9:20 this year. And then we have a couple of, we've got no less than 3 women who've got personal bests outside of 10 minutes. So we could see this field string out pretty quickly, I think. Behind Krauser, perhaps best of the rest, looked like being Rosie Clark and also Ophelie Clark-Boxberger. Great Britain and France respectively. So the full lineup is Richardson from Finland, Sekanova, Czech Republic, Sanchez Escribano from Spain, Cloud Boxberger of France, Clark of Great Britain, Krauser, Germany, Kochali of Greece, Matusi of Italy, Konicek of Poland, Scherer of Switzerland, Solderholm of Sweden, and Smirko of Ukraine. Well, it's the Spaniard who's gone straight into the lead, Sanchez Escribano, three-time Spanish champion. Krauser just tucked in, back in about 5th place at the moment, and already even at this pace, the Greek and the Ukrainian athletes starting to trail off the back.
It was actually interesting, Krauser there, she had a hip number in her hand and just chucked it on the side, and we often see them fly off quite quickly at the start, but I don't think I've ever seen an athlete remove it and throw it away.
Well, the Spaniard will give you a time check on this. The Spaniard Sanchez Escribano, well, has won quite a number of domestic races. She was 8th in the European Championship final in Berlin last summer. Pretty decent runner, but there's the likes of Clark and Claude Boxberger who are faster than her. I think she's doing the right thing though, just stringing the field down, running at a pace which she can control, certainly keeping herself out of trouble, getting clear sight. As we saw, the Ukrainian took a bit of a fall in the water jump there, went down on her knees and hands, scrambled out pretty quickly.
Over in the men's high jump, here we have the Spaniard Miguel Angel Sancho. Way back in 2008, won a World Junior bronze medal in this event. I'm very pleased with that jump indeed. Goes clear at 2:26, and first time clearances all around, which of course again is very important. With only 4 failures allowed per athlete in this competition. And that's actually equals his personal best from 2011. Now, this is important for the pole. Oh, and that means Norbert Kobielski is out, as this was his 4th failure of the competition. Normally, you would see there he would have another attempt at this height, as it was only his 2nd failure at the height, but due to the regulations, it's out for the pole.
So we're back on the track, from one successful Spaniard to another who's trying to get in amongst the points. Irene Sanchez Escribano doing very well at this point, just really pushing the pace very nicely, making it a decent race, that's for sure. Just coming up for the 1 kilometre mark at 3:11:53. Well, that's going to be about 9:30 pace, and there's only 2 women who've actually ever run faster than 9:30, including Gesa Felicitas Krauser in this field. So that's pretty good pace for this championship final.
And it's certainly a different race to the one we saw 2 years ago in Lille, where Gesa Felicitas Krauser was really, I think she was lapping athletes in the end. She was leading the field by a mile. So it's actually really interesting to see this really turning into a championship race, and the Spaniard and the Finn really pushing the pace and not just letting Gesa Felicitas Krauser off easily.
Well, it's looking as though there's the leading 4, a very small amount of daylight back to another 3 athletes, and the remaining 5 now trailing around the track. So we have Wojciech Nowicki, the European champion, going into the circle. Well, leads the way with 76.33 in the first round. Nowicki having a very good season, the European leader. Suffered a few defeats this year, far from unbeaten. The very classy thrower. And that is a big, big throw. You can hear by the roar. That is a very good throw indeed. He's one of the big bankers for 12 points from the poles. He's one of the reasons why the Poles think that they can challenge the defending champions, Germany.
And while you mentioned challenging, very briefly, let me intercept there as we wait for the result.
So 78.84, more than 2.5 metre improvement on his first round throw. And we're back on the track now with the women's 3,000 metre steeplechase. Coming up around the outside, it's the Finn, Camilla Richardson. Richardson, good athlete, 25 years of age, 3 times Finnish champion. So we've now whittled things down to a leading group of 4. We have Escribano, Sanchez Escribano of Spain, followed by Gesa Felicitas-Krause. Camilla Richardson alongside her in the familiar blue vest of England, and tucked at the back, Rosie Clark, before about a 3-metre gap back to a group of 3 led by Ophelie Cloud-Boxberger. So just 3 laps to go as Richardson just glances over at her rivals to see what's happening. Krause just tucked in, has not made any effort to break away, change gears. Saying this season's form better than 10 seconds better than anybody else in that race.
Here is Ninon Guillot-Romarin in the women's pole vault, and what I wanted to mention earlier is the fact that there's been some upset in this event with Lisa Reisic of Germany actually no heighting, and that's a big disappointment there because she was certainly one of the high hopes. As we see there, the French record holder Ninon Guillot-Romarin go clear at the 4:46 with a second attempt. So she really showing that this is certainly part of her abilities. Has a personal best of 4:75 from last year, which is the French record. Jumped 4:60 this year already, but a big blow to the German team with Lisa Reisic not managing to clear the opening height of 4:21. So the Germans losing some points there.
Well, now a big gap starting to emerge with just 2 laps to go between the leading quartet and a trio about 30 metres behind. And as from the very early stages of this race, it's Irene Sanchez Escribano leading the way. 4th at the Mediterranean Games last year. That was probably her best international result, even though she made the final of the European Championships last year. So really doing very, very well. And she's running very close to her personal best. She's improved. Well, she ran last year 9:31.84, so she's running very well indeed at this stage. But also tracking her Gesa Felicitas-Krause of Germany, Rosie Clark of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and in 4th place I should say, the easy-to-spot blonde-haired figure of Camilla Richardson of Finland. Richardson starting to just look a bit tired. 500 metres to go as we enter the home straight for the penultimate time. So it doesn't look as though we're going to challenge the championship record of Yulia Zaripova from 2:10 at 9:23. Looking at a time probably around 8:31, 9:31, 9:32. Now Krause just poised as we go around the far bend for the final time. For the first time, Krause taking the lead as we enter the back straight. So just under 300 metres to go, and Krause just very gently upping the tempo, pulling away. Really is by far and away the class act in this field, and now starting to demonstrate that. Tidy hurdling. She looked very, very comfortable going over the barriers. Comes round to face the water jump for the final time. Behind her, a battle for second place between Clark and Sanchez Escribano. 5 metres difference between Krause and the trailing pair behind her. And Krause just now starting just to gently up the tempo and sprint. One more barrier. Comfortably over. Rosie Clark stuttering badly, but gets over. And Sanchez Escribano maintained a momentum over that barrier and is carried her through. No doubt at all about the winner, Gesa Felicitas-Krause at 9:36.69. Sanchez Escribano takes another good 11 points for Spain, and Rosie Clark 3rd for Great Britain, Northern Ireland, as the rest of the runners trail home behind the leading trio.
And a good performance there for the pole in 5th as well. Again, that will be very important when it comes to the team rankings. Krause is interesting because she hasn't really run that many steeplechase races this year so far. 3 so far. She's done an 800 meters in a small town in Funkstadt where I saw her run recently. But there, of course, we can see her pleased with that performance, and she's really established herself, especially on the European scene.
I have to say, I'm just smiling as we see a couple of the back markers coming in. The Swede Lynn Solderholm just outlasting the Greek Isfala Kotsali. Well, as we saw there after the finish line, Krause just smiling, barely blowing. I mean, that just looked like a slightly tough training run for her.
She's already there, waving at the crowd, walking, while pretty much the rest of the field lies down on the track, all trying to catch their breath. It is a grueling event, the steeplechase. And we can see the athletes now gradually getting up. As I said, Krause is already on the side, having a drink, ready to speak to our colleagues in the mixed zone, saying hello.
Well, we've got a good number of German media here. Of course, athletics being followed very closely in Germany, one of the real powerhouses of this sport in Europe and indeed the world.
They did have nearly 60,000 spectators at the German Championships last week, on the back of a successful European Championships last year, of which, of course, Gesa Felicitas Krause was one of the main protagonists. And here is another one of the main protagonists of Berlin, entering the competition. In this women's pole vault is Kat Stefanidi, as we see something being fixed there in the box. She hasn't entered the competition yet, sat out the starting heights all the way up to 4:46, as we are now waiting for Kat Stefanidi to enter the bar height at 4:56 in this women's pole vault final. Certainly something the Olympic champion can achieve. But while we're waiting for something to be fixed there, we move back to the high jump and the Spaniard Miguel Angel Sancho, who equaled his personal best earlier. Oh,
yeah.
Not with that jump.
Well, no, he was thought to be one of the real up-and-coming talents about a decade ago when he got medals at the World Under-18 Championships and then the European Junior Championships. And then a spate of injuries, university studies, and he just plateaued out. But seems to be coming back to some sort of form. That was a nice jump at 2:26 before.
As Kat Stefanidi enters the competition, we seem to have fixed the issue that was taking place at the box. And the Olympic champion very easily over that opening height of 4:56. Really a championship performer, Stefanidis. Took the Greek title a week ago or so. Said she's coming off a really hard block of training and is taking this competition in her stride. Also one of the faces of the match that we are expecting coming up between Europe and the USA. Lives in Ohio, married to an American coach. There we have her husband and coach, Mitch Creer. A very good coach indeed. As we go back to the track for the next final, the men's 100 meters.
Yes, one of the blue ribbon events of this championship. And in amongst the 8 men, we have France's Jimmy Vicourt, co-holder of the European record and ran a season's best of 10:02 recently when taking the French title in Saint-Etienne. Also alongside him, the very good emerging Italian Lamont Marcel Jacobs, who looked very good in his heat yesterday. See the full lineup, and on the outside is the pole. Big cheers for Ramingas Olszewski. Co-holder of the Czech record with that personal best of 10:16. It's Jan Veleba in lane 3. Has improved to 10:03 this year. Lamont Marcel Jacobs. Well, looking at him perhaps going sub-10 this year. This man already, though, has plenty of sub-10 times to his credit. Has had some injury problems over recent seasons, but now starting to get back to his best. Jimmy Vicourt Michael Pohl ran well in his heat yesterday, the German champion. Alexander Sokolov. Sokolov getting through. Second place in heat, 39 years of age, Angel David Rodriguez of Spain. 7 times Spanish champion, and a man who was 13 years ago the world under-20 champion, now 30 years of age, Great Britain's Harry Akanez Ayeti. So we're looking at lanes 4 and 5, Jacobs of Italy and Viku of France. The full lineup: Olszewski of Poland, Veleba, Czech Republic, Jacobs, Italy, Viku, France, Pohl, Germany, Sokolov, Ukraine, Rodriguez of Spain, and Akanez Ayeti of Great Britain. Well, they're away cleanly. Jacobs getting a good start. I didn't hear a recall gun there.
I think it was there, but the crowd got really noisy. It was very quiet, but there was a slight twitch. Don't want to jinx it. Was that Jimmy Vico?
Well, I'm not sure. Let's have a look at the replay to see if there was any visible problem. Well, I think it would be very harsh if any one individual would be penalised, having had a look at that replay. Akanez Ayeti, if anybody, you can just see he raises his hand off the start line. So, well, we don't see the brandishing. Well, it's looking as though they're actually disqualifying the pole, Olszewski. Well, we were looking at it from the far side of the track, outside looking in, so we couldn't see Olszewski, who was in lane 2. Oh, obviously, nothing's going to get lost in translation.
I was just thinking the same thing.
We'll just wait and see how this unfolds.
I can't make this out.
No, unfortunately, I was focusing my attention on Viku and Jacobs as they were starting.
I would love to see the reaction times for this.
Well, it's a bit unfortunate, but after a bit of discussion, Remigiusz Olszewski does trudge rather disconsolately to the outside of the track, and we're left with just 7 men as we try again. Well, I don't doubt the judges, but it wasn't obvious to the naked eye that false start. In this day and age, it's very difficult to beat the gun. So as they settle once again, 7 remaining men from lane 3, Veleba, Czech Republic, Jacobs of Italy, Viku, France, Pohl, Germany, Sokolov, Ukraine, Rodriguez of Spain, and Akanez Ayeti of Great Britain and Northern Ireland on the outside in lane 9. And once again, Jacobs gets away well, so does Viku. Viku now really starting to run well, but Jacobs up on his shoulder, and Jacobs really pushing hard, but Viku manages to just get away from his Italian challenger over the final 10 metres. 10:36, modest time, into 1.4 metres per second wind, but it's 12 points to France, just as it was in the women's 100 metres. So, Jimmy Viku, co-holder of the European 100 metres record, adds to his list of accolades, taking the victory here in Bydgoszcz. Great start from Viku, good one from Jacobs, and they were clear of the rest.
I
Then daylight starting to appear after about 70 meters.
And decent running there from Michael Paul in third, who gets that third position, especially important again with regards to the team scoring with the disqualification of the pole in this race. But great running there, as we can see from Jimmy Vico, often hampered by injuries. The Frenchman pulled out of the French finals at the championships to be safe, but clearly in fine form here at this European Team Championships. And I'm also really intrigued to see more from Jacobs further down the line, because he really showed some great form here in both races at this championship.
Been to a number of major international championships as a long jumper. He's more concentrating on the 100 meters at the moment. Slightly overshadowed in the Italian media by the prodigious talent of Filippo Tortu, who went under 10 seconds last year. But let's not discount Jacobs. He looks a talent, doesn't he? But all credit to Jimmy Bicou. He didn't have to be at his quickest, but the Frenchman took the victory, and 12 points for France.
12 points, as the French say.
So confirmation of the results from a short while ago. Indeed, Bydgoszcz Kraus, most emphatic winner for Germany, 9:36.67, and 12 points for her, followed home by Spain's Sanchez Escribano and Great Britain's Rosie Clark.
And back in the women's pole vault, yes, we are still going. Marina Kybilko of Ukraine had a great clearance at 4:46 and manages to get off the bed there very quickly after a much tighter clearance there. The bar wobbles, but it doesn't go down, which is quite impressive because the wind has picked up a bit again. But she is very pleased with this clearance. Equals her season's best. No, has bettered her season's best now. That clearance.
There's the confirmation of the results. Michelle mentioning the wind. I think that explains the rather modest times in the men's and women's 100 meters. Nevertheless, Jimmy Vico adding to the victory of Karol Zahi a little bit earlier. The Frenchman speeding to a time of 10:35, followed home by Jacobs of Italy and Paul of Germany.
There we can see the men's high jump. Very, very talented athlete indeed. The Italian just won the Italian championships with the world-leading 2:33 recently. Stefano Sottile, 21 years of age, currently in second position, the Italian. And a lot of athletes actually suffering under this regulation of only having 4 failures allowed. Chris Baker there of Great Britain and Northern Ireland at 2:22. No failure for him up until that height. Goes clear at 2:22. These are all replays from a little earlier in the competition. Has a personal best. I don't think the one that's played in there, 2:36, is correct. 2:29 it says on my note sheet, but here is the Spaniard who is in first position, and we did see that jump earlier at 2:26. Had a season's best going into this competition of 2:22, but clears 2:26 to equal his personal best from way back in 2011. The 29-year-old has been winning a series of Spanish competitions and takes 12 points there for Spain in this high jump. And I don't think that's necessarily a result we would have predicted if we take a look at the athletes in this field. There we have the final results. Sancho of Spain with a season's best takes the win. Chris Baker in second for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Stefano Sottile there with 2:22. Mateusz Szpilko, the European champion. And we're missing a few names on that list. There was only 9 athletes. As we go into the team standings, Germany now move back into the lead over Poland with 91 points, a lead by 3 points, and France now moved up thanks to some very impressive sprinting in the men's and women's 100 meters, thanks to Zahi and Vico in third. We're seeing some more hurdles on the track now as The women's 400-meter hurdles finals is about to get underway. We saw the heats take place yesterday. Some very good athletes in there indeed. Susanna Heinova in lane 6, the athlete to look out for. Ayomeda Foloronso of Italy also looked good yesterday, as did Joanna Linkovic, the Polish athlete. Let's take a look at the full lineup in this race. In lane 9 on the outside, Megan Beasley for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, won European bronze last year in Berlin. Jasmin Geiger, former European junior champion, and won bronze at the European Under-23s for Switzerland. There is Joanna Linkovic, the Polish athlete, looked very good yesterday when she finished second in her heat. And here is the two-time world champion Susanna Heinova for the Czech Republic. Ayomeda Foloronso for Italy, twice the World Student Games champion, won that second title just a few weeks ago in Napoli. And in lane 4 for Ukraine, Anna Rizikova ran very well in yesterday's heat as well. Aurélie Chaboudet for France, former Youth Olympic champion and heptathlete, and completing the lineup in lane 2 for Sweden, Hanna Palmqvist. So really pay attention to lanes 4, 5, 6 and 7. Heinova looked very strong in yesterday's heat, but then hit hurdle 8 pretty badly. Still managed to hang on comfortably, but quite intrigued to see what the Czech can do in this race. Was initially down for the 400 flat, but is now looking to get major points for the Czech Republic. So Palmqvist, Chaboudet, Rizikova, Foloronso, Heinova, Linkovic, Geiger and Beasley. The lineup from inside out.
Serve.
And we get away first time of asking. Pay attention to Heinova in lane 6. Foloronso looking good. The Ukrainian on her inside also looking strong. Yes, Ukrainian Anna Ryshkova looking very good in lane 4 indeed. The first one to go over those hurdles. And on the outside, Megan Beasley for Great Britain and Northern Ireland also looking good. Beasley did well in Berlin last year from the inside, now running her own race in the outside, but it's the Ukrainian who looks really, really good. But now also Heinova really finding her form and has made up the stagger there. The Czech now coming on the home straight in the lead and is now down to just paying attention and executing that race. And Heinova now really leading as the pole comes through strongly. Foloronso making a big mistake on that last hurdle there. And it's the pole, Linkovic coming through strongly. So it's Heinova in first, Anna Ryshkova in second, and Joanna Linkovic with a fine finish there, finishing in third for the poles. 55.10 confirmed for the two-time world champion, Heinova. Much cleaner race than yesterday, but I'm sure the swirling winds would have played quite a big factor in this race for some of these athletes.
Well, I think that's a very good run in these conditions from Heinova. Just looking at the way she's running here, cleanly going over the hurdles. I mean, that finishing time of just outside 55 seconds, only bettered by 3 Europeans this year, including herself. Let's look at that last hurdle, though. Well, Foloronso's starting to have problems there over the penultimate hurdle, and she's chopping her stride, and it all goes horribly wrong there for the Italian, who was challenging for a top 3 position at that stage. But can't really take it away from Heinova, and you certainly wouldn't have bet against a 2-time world champion and all the experience that she's had. Heinova now 32 years of age, but still very, very strong competitor. Might be struggling to compete at the World Championships for a medal against the Americans, but still one of the best Europeans. And we look forward to seeing her challenge for a European title in Paris next year. Paris 2020 coming up next August.
And what an impressive finish from the pole. Joanna Linkiewicz there was, with hurdle 8 still quite a far way off Alonso, and then really on that last hurdle just overtook the rest of them and nearly also caught Anna Ryshikova, the Ukrainian. So pretty impressive running there from the pole.
Yes, good results again from the pole, as you say. So it's still challenging. Well, we've had another event concluded, but after 10 events, they were only 3 points behind the Germans, and that'll make a bit of a difference as well, certainly. So, intriguing battle starting to unfold. Of course, we're barely a quarter of way through this competition.
Here we have the final results of this competition, including yesterday's maximum points for the Czech Republic and Susanna Hejnová, and all the way down with Finland and Greece completing this field. Season's best for Yasmin Geiger there in 5th in this final. Team standings after 11 events, and you mentioned it there, Poland moving up, and it's tight at the top. 98 points for Poland, 95 for Germany, and France still in 3rd with 92. Great Britain and Northern Ireland very closely behind the French with 91 points.
Tight at the bottom as well. Switzerland looking as though they're going to really struggle to stay up, and Sweden as well. But nevertheless, an intriguing battle for those 5 relegation places.
And in the women's pole vault, we are back with Ukraine's Marina Kilipo. That one wasn't as close as the previous one.
And from one side of the arena to another, Javier Cienfuegos, the Spaniard. So we're just about to spotlight the final 4. Cienfuegos. Former world under-20 record holder. Improved to 75-23 in the last round. That got him into this final 4 in 4th place at the moment. Cienfuegos preparing, has gone over 78 meters this year. The Spaniard, now 29 years of age. Just alongside him was the men's high jump, so I was wondering whether he was watching Miguel Angel Sancho. Well, no, it's not going to be an improvement, but pretty close to the 75-meter mark. Cienfuegos sends his implements out across the Zavisa Stadium here. Of course, this has seen many great hammer competitions. Well, indeed, in the end, I think he just stepped out. We didn't really see what happened there with the fault. Michael Anastaskis, well, 75-72. 77, I should say, in the second round. So he's in 3rd place at the moment. Quentin Bydgoszcz 76-70 occupies 2nd place at the moment, so needs to improve by just under a metre as he clatters it into the cage. Nevertheless, 10 very useful points for the Greek. They were certainly some people's nominations to go down, but they're putting up a very good fight. Of course, Kat Stefanidis still in the women's pole vault on the far side of the stadium, as you see the long shots. So 2 fouls to finish his series, but Anastakis is 75-77, earns him 10 points. Quentin Bydgoszcz, former European under-20 champion, going into the circle. Well, 76-70 from the 3rd round, gradually improved through the competition. Now in 2nd place. Quite a gap to make up, over 2 meters if he's to get in front of Wojciech Nowitzki. Well, it's not a bad throw, good way to finish, but I don't think it's an improvement. Big disappointment in this competition. Nick Miller, way down in 10th place. He's a man who's thrown over 78 metres this year and has got good championship credentials. Well, 76.22, not quite as far as his second round effort, but nevertheless second place and 11 points to France. Maximum points though, we know it already, going to Poland. That's just going to consolidate their lead here in Bydgoszcz. 78-84 in that second round. Let's see if we can have a big throw now. Quite often the throwers, when the pressure's off, just get it together and send out the implement to very prodigious distances. Well, he whirls, he throws, his hammer goes across the sky here. That's a good throw once again, but does he step out of the circle? Is he just taking a deliberate foul? Yes. But he applauds the crowd, and he doesn't know it, but the mascot is sneaking up on him from behind. Oh, we can see that looking across the stadium. There you see him. You worked out, what's he called?
Something. It's a lynx. I know it's a lynx.
We know it's a lynx. Yes.
Bragio. Is it Bragio? Something along those lines. As we take a look from one side of strongmen to some other strongmen, the men's shot put. And this is an event I've been looking forward to because we've got some pretty strong contenders in this lineup there. Representing Italy, Leonardo Fabri, Italian champion. This is the defending European team champion through a championship record 2 years ago in Lille for the Czech Republic, Tomáš Stanek. But he'll have some tough competition from someone we'll get to shortly. For Germany, the German champion Simon Bayer. And next up in the lineup for France, 4 times the French champion, Frédéric Daget. Lincoln Scott for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, really the dominant figure in the British shot-putting ranks. And Victor Pettersson for Sweden, 21-year-old, got a bronze in javelin just recently. Arttu Kangas, the Finn, 12 times the Finnish champion. For Switzerland, we have Stefan Wieland, also a youngster. And this is the man to watch. You can see there, season's best in personal best, 22.32. He threw this twice this season already. The pole gets a big reception there. Michal Haratic, European champion indoors now. Nicolas Karavelis for Greece. And the bearded man from Spain, Carlos Tobalina, and completing the lineup in this men's shot put, Igor Muzyankov. As I mentioned very quickly there, Tomáš Stanek set that championship record in Lille 2 years ago, 21.63, and that could very well be under threat, especially from Michal Haratic, as we take a look at the final results in the men's hammer.
Confirmation, 12 points to Poland with Wojciech Nowici, 78.84, Quentin Bigo, 76.70, 2 meters adrift, but takes 11 points for France. And Greece, 10 points for Mihail Anastaskis again, which will certainly help the Greek bid to stave off relegation.
And still going on, of course, is the women's pole vault in that same corner of the stadium. As we see Kat Stefanidi there preparing for only the second vault of this competition for the Greek, because she left out the first few heights. Of course, has a personal best of 491 from 2017. Jumped 483 at the Greek Championships just recently.
It's a long competition, this. Started at 4 o'clock exactly. We're just about to get into our second hour of pole vaulting.
I was just about to say,
third hour of pole vaulting. We're
at
just
the
about
clock.
to complete our second hour.
But the pole vaulters are used to these times, especially the field events. They do occasionally have to stop in order to make way for some of the track events. But there we have her trademark two-coloured socks. That's one way to always pick out Kat Stefanidi. Has really won almost everything there is, but one thing she mentioned recently to me that she hasn't won yet is a world indoor title, and she's debating as to whether that will fit in next year in her preparations, whether she can complete that, because as I said, reigning world, Olympic, European and Diamond League champion, really a different class athlete. 29 years young, which in the pole vault isn't that big of an age, because we often see pole vaulters finding into shape later on in their careers. A lot about it is experience. Had one failure there, as you can see, at 470, passed on the two previous heights. What can the defending champion do? Got a little smile there, waiting for the wind to die down a little as she makes her second attempt at 470. Nope, aborts this attempt. And it is very difficult for the pole vaulters, especially with changing winds and conditions like this. With heights like this, close to 5 meters, it can get quite dangerous if you don't quite hit it. We're still away from events like the match. She's competing at the Birmingham Diamond League next week, and I don't think we want to see anyone injured. As we move back to the track for the next final.
Yes, it's the men's 5,000 metres, the longest event on the track here, and this is a very loaded race. It's a very good race indeed. Includes the likes of Yamani Behan, Kripper of Italy, the very good Swiss runner Julian Wanders, the European half marathon champion, really dropping down quite significantly in distance. Nick Gulab of Great Britain, Northern Ireland. Hugo Hay, very impressive European under-23 champion, silver medalist, I should say, back just about a month ago. Scanning across the lineup. Local interests represented by Poland's Robert Glawala. And the big question is, will this turn into a tactical affair, which happens so often? I think that would be a mistake for the vast majority of these athletes, because they're not going to have a chance of getting in the top three with the likes of Kripper and Hay, who both got very, very good turns of speed, Gulab as well. And I know we're only 100 metres into this race. Looks as though it's pretty decent pace at the moment, perhaps a little bit sedentary. Just to run you through the full lineup as we get underway, with Nikola Gulab leading the way. We have Jakub Zemanek of Czech Republic, Sergio Jimenez, Spain, Ido Saliba of Finland, Hugo Hay of France. Alongside Gulab we have Emanuel Petros, the very good European under-23 silver medalist from 2 years ago. He won the silver medal over 10,000 metres. Marcos Gourilas of Greece. Kripper of Italy, Glawala of Poland, Wanders of Switzerland, Sudan Hassan of Sweden. Another man to look out for. He's tucked in about 5th place at the moment. And Volodymyr Kuts of Ukraine, very experienced Ukrainian international. One thing that has happened here, as we see Nick Gulab really stretching the field out. Well, indeed, it's not Gulab, but the Greek, Marcos Gourilas. One of the very few men who hasn't improved this year. 10 of the 12 men in this field have set personal bests in 2019. I think this is a good tactic from Gourilas, twice the Greek champion over this distance. He doesn't have a particularly good personal best of 13:48 coming last year, but it means he's not at the prey of the fast finishers.
As we see there, Kat Stefanidi looks a little annoyed with herself. She doesn't quite know what is going on here. I don't know whether her pole touched the box there or not. As we move over to the shot put there, Scott Lincoln for Great Britain and Northern Ireland in his first attempt. As I said, this could turn into a very high quality shot put competition indeed. There, in the high 19 meters there, it could be. Definitely over 19 for the Brit. Uses the rotary technique. There's of course 2 camps really. 1939 there for him in 4th for now. Next athlete there to throw for Sweden, Victor Pettersson. As I said, won a bronze at the European Under-23 Championships in Gävle in front of a home crowd. Has a personal best of 20:70. I'd say gets close to that 20-meter mark with his first attempt. Looks pretty good there from the 21-year-old. 1945, so he moves Scott Lincoln 1 position down and into 3rd.
Back on the track. Well, we can see that Julian Wanders really decided to throw down the gauntlet. So they've got 9 laps to go. Wanders really has pushed very, very hard. Only Emanuel Petros, the German, has decided to go with him. A little bit of a surprise, Kripper hasn't decided to follow him. Kripper obviously thinks that the 2 men in front are going to blow up. But both are quality athletes, and now it's Petros's opportunity. Wanders says, your turn to make a bit of the work. Just wondering whether they've decided beforehand just to at least take the pace for a few laps and then battle it out.
And I think that's really interesting, because we were having this conversation earlier and said Wanders, really knowing that he's got strength over the longer distances, has to go early in order to challenge the likes of Kripper. So really going for tactics here.
One Swiss to another.
As we go back to another Swiss, as you just rightly said. Stefan Wieland there for Switzerland. Again, another youngster, 20 years young. Has mainly been throwing on home soil, a personal best of 17:18, so can't quite challenge the distances we've just seen, close to 20 meters. Just looks a little lackluster there, might also just need a bit of technique work there, the young Swiss. 16:55, yes, so stays below his capabilities there and is currently ranked in 8th. There we have the big man from Poland, Michał Haratik. As I said, through a Polish record twice this year already, is one of 6 men in the world to have gone over 22 meters this year. So really high class shot put we are seeing here. And what can the Polish record holder do in his first round here? Again, championship record is 21:63, well within his capabilities. And it's a big one, well beyond the 21-meter mark. The angle might be slightly deceptive, so I'm not sure whether we're quite close to that 21:63, but it's certainly over the 21-meter mark. And as I said, a very fine competitor indeed. The record holder, of course, in this field as well, with Tomasz Danek, the defending champion. But let's see what distance comes up here. 21:41, so 20 centimeters shy of the championship record, and there's certainly some room for improvement there. But he'll be pleased with that first mark on the board.
Well, over a metre ahead of Stanek, who's a quality performer himself. That could well prove to be the top performance of this competition, but 3 rounds to go for the big man, Haratik.
Nikolaos Skaravelis for Greece. They're in the ring with his first attempt. Won the Greek title just recently. And he goes over 90 meters, or very close to that 90-meter mark as well. His younger sister is also a Greek international shot putter and hammer thrower, so throwing really lies in the family there. As Skaravelis gets 18.87, so not quite 90 meters for the Greek athlete. And we move on to a very well-known figure in international shot putting, Carlos Tobalina. Heavily taped up leg, as we can see. It's one of the more experienced athletes in this field, a 34-year-old. Sometimes ties his beard together. It gets too wild, but there we can see him again, very similar distance to Skaravelis' performance there, close to the 19-meter mark, 18.86, so just 1 centimeter shy of the Greek's performance. And from one Greek, as I said, to another, Stefanidi, no, not to be for her at 4 meters and 80.
Yes, that was her first attempt. She has one more attempt at this height. If she fails, she's out.
But she is already confirmed the winner. As we watch the final throw in this first round in the men's shot put, and again, very similar distance to the 2 previous attempts, all around the 19-meter mark or thereabouts. As we said, we've seen 18, 86 and 87 just in the 2 previous attempts. And there, Igor Muzyenko, 18.92, so he moves ahead of Tobalina and Skaravelis. And that concludes the first round in this shot put. Leonardo Fabri, the Italian, threw a personal best of 20.99 earlier this year, which was the longest shot put by an Italian athlete since 1997. So real talent there, 22-year-old, and that looks pretty decent to me. Certainly over 20 meters. But it's a foul. Stepped out of the ring there, couldn't quite hold it, which is a shame because it did look like a decent throw. But has his 19.53 from the first round on the board and is currently ranked in 4th, which means he would get another throw.
Well, we're back at the 5,000 meters. The first 2 kilometers were at a furious pace. Wonders leading the way through 2:44.41, and then Petros taking over, taking them through 2,000 in 5:26.05. And then the pace dropped. It seemed as though Kripa was just given the big open door and has gradually got back into contact with the 2 leaders. Wonders went through 3,000 meters in 8:21. They're just coming up for the 4,000 meter mark. So now it's really dropped, which has allowed Kripa to get back in contact with them when they were almost 40 meters clear of the rest.
And Vanders, of course, lives and trains in Kenya, has relocated there quite a while ago. There we see the final attempt for Kat Stefanidi at 4:80. Looked much better than the previous attempt, but not to be for her. As we said, there's only 4 failures allowed in this competition, but she takes maximum points for Greece in this women's pole vault, and as we said, they've been going for well over 2 hours now. 4:70, the mark for her. She'll be pleased with that. Yeah, didn't quite get all the way up there. The legs were at the right height. but just in another class.
So we're back at the 5,000 meters, and the leading trio, Petros led the way through 4,000 meters in 11:06.74. So we're now looking at roughly around a 13:40 pace, which could potentially just challenge if they speed up as we expect, as they come round to see 1 lap to go, 500 meters to go. They are within striking distance of that championship record of 13:36.75 by Ali Kaya in Turkey. So there's 3 men in this race, and then a big gap to Sweden's Sudan Hassan. 12:46 unofficially as they went through the bell. So they're going to be outside. No doubt at all about it. They're not going to get the championship record. Now Krippers just starting to go through the gears. Wander's looking very comfortable. Petros drifting back now. So Kripper just with that short clip stride, but very efficient, very quick over the ground. A plethora of European under-20, under-23 titles to his name. Also a fantastic cross-country runner. Really third on the Italian all-time list for this event after his 13:07 recently. He doesn't need to be at his best for this event. He's got such a wonderful turn of speed, and he just pulls away to win by about 15 meters from Switzerland's Julian Wanders. 13:43.29 unofficially. Wanders takes second place. Petros the bronze. Hugo Hay of silver just gets up to take fourth place for France, followed home by Jimenez of Spain, and then Hassan of Sweden. That's the top 6, and then almost 100 meters down the straight to the rest of the men. No doubt at all, Yamani Bahan had everything in his armory over that last lap. Showed his talent. Didn't need really to push too hard to take the plaudits. Wanders, of course, absolutely fantastic. Man on the road, holder of the world best over 5K on the roads. A newly introduced record distance. As you see, Poland's Robert Golofczka coming through, followed home by the men from Ukraine and Finland.
And Kripper, of course, a very interesting character, was orphaned way back in Ethiopia and then adopted by an Italian family, and really taken up running to find something to do and to get to know people back home. But there we can see his absolutely lethal kick, and that is the reason why Julian Wanders was pushing the pace so hard at the start, because he knew he didn't have the turn of speed that Kripper is providing here at the end. But still, what a great performance from the Swiss, who, as I said, lives and trains in E10, did a school paper on Kenyan runners way back and decided, if I want to be as good as them, I have to move there, and we can see it's certainly paying off.
I think Wander's got his tactics right. He got 11 points, and very valuable 11 points. Switzerland, well, as we were saying, it's going to be hard work for the Swiss to actually get among the top 6. At the moment, they're struggling to stave off relegation. Just nice shot there of the crowd here at the Zavisa Stadium.
I actually have to correct myself very quickly, because we said Katerina Stefanidis out, but the rules actually state the winner does get more attempts if they're the only one remaining. So she will have one more attempt at 480, and I think she will line up shortly. But first of all, the man of the moment in the men's shot put, Mikhail Haratic. Again, close to that championship record from Tomasz Stanek in the men's shot put there. .21.83, and there goes the record. Mikhail Haratic in his second round improves on that first round in really absolutely incredible performance from the pole. He is in very fine shape indeed. As we move further in the season, and there's still a long way to go. We have the match Europe against America coming up, the World Championships, and of course Diamond League finals as well. So very good shape. Nicolas Scarvelli is currently finding himself in 9th. Remember, only the top 4 throwers will get a 4th attempt. So everyone gets 3 attempts and then a 4th attempt for the top 4. Scarvelli, the Greek, looks to be more pleased with that. Gets the white flag. There we see an improvement, 19.07 for him, so 20 centimeter. And again, from one Greek to another, there is the winner of the women's pole vault, and as I said, she gets more failure allowances than the rest because she is the only athlete remaining in this women's pole vault. Cleared 470 in her 3rd attempt and is now trying 480. The entire stadium paying attention to that side with the men's shot put and the women's pole vault going on. And it would just be 3 centimeters shy of her season's best of 483 that she cleared at the Greek Championships. She's a championship performer, she loves championships, and she said yesterday she does treat this as any other championship as well, regardless whether it's team or not. And it looked good from the outset, it's just as she goes down, maybe didn't quite reach her high point at the right time over the bar. But very good performance indeed from the Olympic champion, and 12 points for Greece there.
Yeah, it's just shy of the championship record, but we've already seen one at these championships, and I've got a feeling we'll see a few more over the course of the rest of this evening's session and tomorrow. Well, that's the final results from the 5,000 metres, and that very emphatic win for Italy's Yamani Behan Kripa, 13:43.30. Don't worry too much about the time, it's the points that counts, because this is the European Team Championships, followed home by Julian Wanders of Switzerland and Amanal Petros of Germany. There's the team standings after 14 events. France at the moment in the lead with 121.5 points. Poland dropping to 2nd, Germany to 3rd. And there's the battle at the bottom. Switzerland and Sweden, a little bit adrift, but still a big battle for the rest of the places. Finland in 10th, Greece 9th, and Czech Republic in 8th place. They're the men in the drop zone, so to speak.
What you can't see is that at the moment the women's triple jump is being introduced to the crowd, and shortly coming up as well, there you saw the women's 400-meter final is getting underway in just a few minutes as well. So several more finals here taking place, action rolling in thick and fast. As one field event finishes, the next one starts, and track action continuing as well. We mentioned there's a lot of finals, 20 in total today, and we've still got a good hour and a half to go on this 2nd day of the European Team Championships Super League. But now next up on the track is the women's 400 meters, and it's another Polish favorite lining up in this field. But let's take a look at this full lineup in this race from the outside in. Lane 9 for Ukraine there, we can see Katarina Klimiuk set her personal best of 51.97 this year. Lara Vondrova, very, very talented young athlete from the Czech Republic, in lane 8. In lane 7, looked very good in the heat. Maria Benedicta Chikbolu won a relay medal in 2016 in Amsterdam. And this is one of the athletes to look out for as well. Lea Sprunger of Switzerland won her heat yesterday. And the other winner of yesterday's heat gets a very warm reception from the crowd. Justyna Świeciejczyk, the Pole, the European champion from last year. Very strong finisher. Deborah Sanani, also very accomplished runner, won a relay silver last year in Berlin and looked very good indeed yesterday as well. Moa Hjelmer of Sweden in lane 3, very experienced athlete. And completing this lineup in lane 2 for Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Amy Alcock, who's one of the time qualifiers from yesterday's heat. So look out for lanes 4 to 8. A lot of things can happen in the 400 meters, but this woman looked very good indeed. She only wanted to qualify, she said, but then she was roared on by the Polish crowd and went for the win in yesterday's heat. But Justyna Świeciejczyk there in lane 5. So from the inside out, Alcock Great Britain, Hjelmer Sweden, Sanani France, Świeciejczyk Poland, Sprunger Switzerland, Chigbolu Italy, Vondrova Czech Republic, and Klimyuk Ukraine. Świeciejczyk with a very good finish, so might not be the one first out the blocks, as Sprunger looks very good, has already made up some of the stagger. Also looking good is the Czech Vondrova in lane 8. Sprunger with a very long stride has made up some way on the Italian. Chigbolu looking good, but Świeciejczyk coming strongly on the inside in lane 5 there. Very good running from the pole indeed. We can already see the crowd around us getting up on her feet, and Świeciejczyk really not waiting around as she leads this field onto the home straight. Chigbolu in second coming through, Sprunger with her long stride coming through there, but no doubt about who is winning this race there is it's Justyna Świeciejczyk taking the win for Poland, Lea Sprunger in second, and I think Chigbolu might have held on there for third. 51-24 for Świeciejczyk. Gets a hug from the mascot. An absolutely delight there for the reigning European champion. I'm sure she will play her part in the relay tomorrow as well.
And I think that's the former World Championships medalist in the 400 metres hurdles, Marit Plaugo, playing the role of infielder rouser as we see Świeciejczyk. Power off the bend, really took control of this race from the 250-metre mark and left the rest trailing in the wake. At this stage, Chigbolu, the Italian, doing well, having a very good run, just tires up over the final 50 metres as Sprunger just shows that fantastic flat speed that she's got. Just remember, this is only Sprunger's second competitive 400 metres. She's been concentrating and only had a few races over 400 metres hurdles as she gets ready for Doha. As we see, looking down the line, Vondrova and Sananes just going slightly backwards over the final 50 metres. Very popular performer, a woman who's been very much the face of these European team championships. She's on the posters, she's on the publications, she's on the media guides.
And the crowd is celebrating her still, as is the mascot. But it has cooled down a little. The wind's picked up, and I think temperatures have dropped a bit. I don't know whether I was imagining it, but I thought I might have even heard some thunder earlier. So we're holding our breath that the weather is holding on, and we won't see any rain as the night progresses. We've still got a whole bunch of events to come. The women's triple jump final just getting underway. The shot put still going on in the men's side. We've got javelin throw for the women coming up, 3,000 meter final and a 1,500 meter final. So still a lot of action going on. But back to the shot put, where we already saw a championship record from Michal Haratik, the Pole. Here's the young Swiss. Didn't have the best of attempts early on, but stepped out of the ring there, I think, maybe. Don't know whether he gets the flag up there. Pay attention to his left foot. Yep, gets the red flag there, and it's a foul for the Swiss Stefan Wieland. So 2 fouls for him in 16:55. So he won't be pleased with that. But here is the man to beat. 2 times over 21 already. A championship record this year, gone over 22 meters on several occasions. Set a Polish record earlier in the year and then equaled it with 22:32. And it's another one over 21, so very consistent throwing there. I don't think it was quite as far as his second attempt there, but again, another effort over 21 meters. So really unchallenged so far. As I said, the main man to keep an eye on, yes, 21:31, but the main man to look out for, Tomasz Stanek in second with 20:65. Can't get anywhere near this man at the moment. In third, we saw the Frenchman Frédéric Daguet and German. Here we have final results for the women's pole vault. As we said, Kat Stefanidi with 470. Kulipko of the Ukraine gets a season's best. And then we see points shared between Sweden and France with clearances over 4:46 for Bengtsson and Guillaume Romarin. There we have Bengtsson's attempt at 46. Which did look good, but then couldn't quite get over it. There is Romarin, Guillaume Romarin, who she shared points with, and the Ukrainian, who equaled her season's best with a very wobbly bar. Winning vault for Kat Stefanidi, 470. Couldn't quite get over that 480, although her last attempt did look pretty good. But they've been out there for quite a while, these pole vaulters, and the conditions haven't been the most favorable, with a lot of turning winds, as we saw in the men's long jump earlier. Final results in that women's 400 meters. Poland's Justyna Swiatek with the win over Switzerland's Lea Sprunger. Italy, France, and Czech Republic all closely together. And a season's best there for Sweden's Mia Helmer in 8th. This would have had an impact on the team standings after 15 events now. France still in the lead, Poland in 2nd, and Italy has moved up into 3rd. So that was a good run there from Chikbolu in the 400 meters to make some way up there. It's very close between Italy and Germany there, with 117 to 115 points, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more change happening over the next few events. Final throw in the 3rd round in this men's shot put with Igor Muzyankov. Remember, only the top 4 throwers get another attempt. Doesn't seem too pleased there. Muzyenko, first at the Ukrainian Team Championships. 1951, so he's in 7th, won't get another throw, and it will be Poland, Czech Republic, France, and Germany who will have one final attempt and can change the current standings. Although I don't think anyone really can challenge Haratic at the moment.
No, the only person who could get close on lifetime best would be Tomasz Stanek, but he's not in the same sort of form. Throwing respectably well, throwing well over 20 meters, but this is a man who's a meter but further than him with every single of his throws. So it's looking as though 12 points are going very comfortably to Poland in this event, but still one more throw for each of the leading 4 competitors.
And of course, it's worth noting as well that now the order is reshuffled. So we are starting with the German Simon Bayer, who's currently ranked in 4th. then move on to the Frenchman, Frédéric Daget, then on to Tomasz Stanek, and on to the current leader. If I recall correctly, Simon Bayer actually performed a backflip when he won the German title last week. Here we have the current standings confirmed. Not really too many surprises there, I'd say, in terms of results. But here we have the German champion, Simon Bayer, 23 years of age. Says, oh man, he's not pleased with it.
Just to digress very slightly, what's going on with David Stoll? I know you follow German athletics.
He's just not been in the best of shapes. I think he's had some injury niggles here and there, struggled a little. I think he became a dad not too long ago either, and maybe that had a bit of an impact on him. And it's just, as you saw with Simon Bayer taking the win at the German Championships, not the best German at this very moment. Frédéric Daget, on the other hand, is the best Frenchman out there as the reigning champion. Gets the red flag. So no improvement so far in this final round. Yeah, can't hold that throw, steps out of the ring. And no improvement on that 20 meters and 3 centimeters from his third round attempt. Tomasz Stanek, the defending champion from this event from 2 years ago, set a championship record in Lille with 21.63, but so far not quite close to that in this competition. Hasn't thrown over 22 meters this year. Has a personal best of 22.01 from 2017. So far, 20.65 for the Czech. Can he get close to that championship record from 2 years ago? 21.63. Nope. I don't think that's an improvement for him. Has speed in the ring, but not happy with that throw. Makes it a foul and stays with 20.65. So the winner is confirmed, but can he go further?
Well, we've often talked about this. It didn't happen in the hammer when Wojciech Nowitzki had confirmed his place as the winner and the holder of 12 points, but gives the athletes an opportunity just to relax and really go for it. Sometimes, more often than not, it comes off and we see a spectacular performance.
There we go, Mikhail Haratik with his final throw. Already has the win confirmed. Ooh, that was another big one. Could get close to that attempt of his from the second round. Every throw over 21 meters, and it was a foul because I think his foot touched the white board at the front. But what a series from the big pole, and certainly important points there for the hosts, who many have tipped as the team to beat here. They've really sent a strong team and are trying to get that title back from the Germans. I think who were just over 25 points behind them in Lille 2 years ago. But once again we see the Polish flag raised and an excited Lynx jumping around.
Well, just very roughly, looking at my scribbled notes, I make it that France are still in the lead in the team standings after the men's shot, but just by half a point. But of course they did do quite well, taking 10 points from Frédéric Daget in third place in the shot. So France very much still in contention as well.
And of course we have the women's triple jump currently going on, to which hopefully we can show you some images very soon, with various talented athletes in that field.
Heritage taking the support. There we just see in the background Scott Lincoln. I think a little bit of a shout out for the Briton. I took 5th place with 19.55, just 22 centimetres short of his personal best, and he was one of the few competitors coming into this event who hasn't got a career best of over 20 metres, so Lincoln taking unexpected points for the Briton.
There we have the final results confirmed. Championship record 21.83 for Michael Haratic. 12 points for Poland, Stanek in second there, and as you mentioned, Frédéric Dager in third with 10 points for France, which are very important. Making it close there, Germany, you can see 9 points, and obviously Italy, who had moved ahead of Germany with 7 points. I think they might be even on points now, as there was only 2 points between the teams. But
2.5 points in it.
Let's wait for the updated standings. There we see a replay of those last round throws, which we've already just seen. Frédéric Dager, the Frenchman, who fouled that last throw. You pay attention to his right foot, his left foot touches the white board. Stanek there. Not quite sure why we're seeing a replay of these throws we have just seen with other events going on, but there, yeah, Stanek just couldn't hold that throw. Again, worth remembering as well that the winners of each of the events here will get an automatic qualifying spot for the inaugural match, which takes place in Minsk in Belarus in just a few weeks' time. This man, Michael Haratic, one of those who will get the chance to represent Europe against America in the Belarusian capital. And he will certainly have his work cut out if the Americans are sending their full team, because 3 American throwers have already gone over 22 meters this year as well. The world leader Ryan Krauser, 22.74. But of course, as I said, Haratic's currently ranked 3rd in the world, thanks to his 2 Polish records of 22.32. So he, the winner here, maximum points, and on his way to Minsk.
Well, of course, the selection for the Team Europe comes up later this week, and we go down the list, and it's 3 additional athletes, including the winners here, who are added from the 2019 season performance. So we could see 2 Poles in amongst the shot putters, Michael Haratic and, of course, Konrad Bukowiecki. I'm sure Bukowiecki will also get an invitation as we now switch our attention to the 3,000 meters for women. Well, we saw an exciting men's 5,000 meters. I wonder if the women's 3,000 meters can produce the same sort of fireworks. We have another very good pole in here, Renata Bliss. There we just see the 34-year-old pole, but still running extremely well. The full lineup. We got Mariniko of Greece, Egger of Switzerland, Skurko of Ukraine, Lebnikov of Czech Republic, Pereira of Spain, Blomqvist of Finland, Geir Carles of France, Oscar Thornhill of Great Britain. Oscar Thornhill perhaps among the favourites. Krebs of Germany, Zenone of Italy, Renata Bliss, mentioned her, of Poland, and Granberg of Sweden. Well, Bliss has the fastest lifetime best of 8:39.18, but that dates back 5 years to 2014. On current form, well, let's keep an eye on the Briton, Oscar Thornhill. So 7.5 laps of the track. Quite a number of the women in this field have set personal bests over this distance this year. Solange Pereira, you might remember, anchored the Spanish gold medal winning medley relay team at the European Cross Country Championships back in December. Well, this is a pretty sedentary pace, no doubt about it. They're barely raising their knees above. So this looks as though it's a very gentle jog, in stark contrast to the men's 5,000 metres, where they hurtled through the first 2 kilometres in sub 13:30 pace. Oscar Thornhill and at least the only performers under 9 minutes. Championship best by Sifan Hassan, who was set in Braunschweig back in 2014. Hassan, of course, subsequently gone on to smash a whole host of European records, but that mark stands at 8:45.28. Hassan, of course, earlier this year in Stanford at the Diamond League meeting there, ran a European record of 8:18.49. Don't think we're going to see, and certainly judging from this, really rather sedentary, almost a walking pace, a little more than walking pace for these women. Certainly not going to see a time even closely approaching Hassan's championship record. I do really wonder whether this is a good tactic for many of the women in this race. It just leaves it open to fast finishers like Pereira and indeed Denise Krebs, who's come in as a replacement for Elena Ray. So the start list of the women's javelin. Very good throwers in there indeed, including a woman who might well take another 12 points for Poland, Andrzejczyk, who will be throwing last. Maria Andrzejczyk, well, she was an impressive winner at this event in the inaugural European Team Championships. So the first woman, well, not really the first woman, this is France's Alexis Alais. Has thrown over 61 metres this year. And that's a very good start indeed for the French woman. Well, that's a magnificent start for her. I'm just saying, a personal best for the French champion, 61.49, and that looks as though she's consigned that to history. Big throw indeed. 63.46, well, almost 2 metre improvement for the French woman. Now, how do you respond to that? Because that's better than anybody else has thrown in this field this year. Rebecca Walton, just 19 years of age, the English under-23 champion. Well, Walton, personal best, something like 10 metres shy of what the Frenchwoman's just thrown. Great opportunity for her, though. And you consider the history of British javelin throwing, the likes of Tessa Sanderson, Fatima Whitbread and Goldie Sayers more recently. Well, we're in a bit of a trough at the moment with the British javelin throwing, both men and women. But it's a great opportunity for perhaps the next generation who've got a few years to mature. So, a little bit shy of 50 metres. 46.07 for Walton with her first round effort. So, back on the track. And it's Pliss who's started to pick up the pace just a little bit. So 4 laps to go for the women's 3,000 metres. Isn't going to be anything under 9 minutes the way they're going at the moment, I'm afraid to say. So, could see a few surprises in this race. Pliss went through 1,000 metres in 3:12.64. So at this pace, they're going to be running at around 9.5 minutes. Might suit a few of the runners who got quick finishes. She's certainly well within most of these runners' skill set.
But as you said earlier, it's really not about times here. It is about who finishes in which position, and it's all about the points. And of course, as you said, it is a tactical affair. Some people will be left behind once they start kicking, but this one is wide open.
On her outside, the Swedish athlete, Jolanda Garumbe. Well, Garumbe has a best of 9:27. That was set indoors this year. Hasn't raced outdoors over this distance. 27-year-old Swedish runner as we switch to another Scandinavian. Neighbours Finland, and this is Jenny Kangas. Two-time Finnish champion. Just over 50 metres for the Finn. Has thrown over 60 metres, but that came 2 years ago. Kangas was third in this competition back in 2015 when we were in Cheboksary. 52.20 for Kangas, getting things underway at this point in time. Now Geraldine Ruckstahl, the very talented Swiss multi-eventer, more recently won the European Under-23 title when we were in Gävle a month ago.
I believe she's also down in the shot put in this competition, actually.
Well, the javelin, she's one of the best multi-event javelin throwers in the world. Also got a very good Greek in there who at one time held the world javelin best, Sofia Ifantidou. It's Garamba who takes the lead in the 3,000 metres, and now back to Ruckstahl. No, just over 50 metres, so doesn't challenge for the lead in this event.
But just a quick word on Ruckstahl, actually, because in 2016 she had a really bad training accident, fell over a hurdle and tore her intestine, and then less than a year later came back and threw her personal best of 58.31 at the Götz's multi-events meet. So a really talented athlete, stays obviously well below her capabilities there.
Yeah, it's 50.70. So this is Maria Andricic. Well, Andricic has a best of 67.11. Fourth at the 2016 Olympics. Well, Pliss Andricic just stopped because suddenly there's been a huge injection of pace in the women's 3,000 metres as they come up with, they're on the last lap now. We didn't see them go through the bell, but it's the Italian Maria Zenone, who's better known as an 800 and 1,500 metre runner, so definitely she's got a kick, and she's been followed by Garambe. Pereira of Spain just drifting off the back a little bit, and we've lost Pliss of Poland. So it's between the Swede and the Italian as they come into the home straight. Now Garambe just edging in front, just leaving Zanone. Doesn't quite have the endurance in the legs. So Sweden 9:07, so a personal best for Garambe, although she has got quite a talent over the distances. Zanone coming through, it's Italy in second place and Spain in third as the rest of the runners trail home behind them. Well, we didn't really see many of the major moves in that race. Bit of a pity. Perhaps we'll see a recap of some of the last lap.
But it looks like Garambe is really thrilled with that performance there. Probably didn't go in expecting it. I mean, she didn't even have a time down this year in this event.
No, she had a few 3,000 metres indoors, 9:27, but nothing close to that. So, yeah, absolutely thrilled. That was the perfect race for her. A pretty dismal race for some of the women behind her. I'm sorry, I'm terribly critical when we see such wretched paces over the first 4 or 5 laps in this situation. Zanone, well-known 800, 1,500 metre runner, the young Italian, just 20 years of age now. European under-23 bronze a couple of weeks ago in Gävle. But a nice kick and a nice turn of speed at the end by Yolanda Garambe. Sweden 1, Italy 2, and Spain 3. So good points for all three of those teams, who are in the bottom 6 at the moment. I'm sure we'll see the team standings confirmed very shortly, but there's a bit of a division now between the top 6 and the bottom 6. So there's a nice scrap building up over the remainder of today and tomorrow for those top 3 places, and indeed the title of European team champions.
And we're going to the women's triple jump. We haven't actually introduced the field yet, but this has already been going on for quite a while. This woman here, Paraskevi Papachristou, the defending team champion and also the reigning European individual champion in the women's triple jump. They're really the one to watch in this event. On this attempt over the board, but already has 14.48 to her name from the second round. As you can see, he is in first position and will get a 4th attempt, the Greek athlete. Pelotero, the Ana Pelotero for Spain, currently in second with 14.27. Behind the Greek. Encourages the crowd here in her third attempt. Pretty likely to get a 4th attempt as well. 23-year-old with a season's best of 14.47, so not too far away from that, with the 14.27 to her name. And she realizes over the board as well, aborts the attempt. The Spaniard, currently in second, Ana Pelotero, of course, won the European Indoor Championships in Glasgow this year. There we see it. And again, as you can see, the winds changing ever so slightly. Several that are above the legal mark of 2 meters. Olga Saladuka, an accomplished athlete from Ukraine, former world, European and European indoor champion, is now 36 years of age, but currently finding herself in third, so she will also be likely to get a 4th attempt in this competition and try and challenge the likes of Paraskevi Papachristou. Again, also not happy with that attempt. Yeah, as you can see, 14.11, so slight improvement for her in that third round.
So Yolanda Garambe, one of the reasons why she hasn't really got much credentials over 3,000 meters, predominantly an 800 and 1500 meter runner, followed home by Zanone of Italy and Pereira of Spain.
And the last individual track final of the day already coming up. I feel this time's gone flying by, and it's certainly one that the host nation Poland could be deciding for themselves, with someone local in this field. Marcin Lewandowski represents Bydgoszcz on a club level, and he said is very much looking forward to running here in front of a home crowd. But they're the men you've just seen go out of the picture for the Czech Republic. His training partner, Jakub Holusa, both being coached by Marcin Lewandowski's brother. And interestingly, both of them running with a nose strip, so that's how you can recognize this pair. On the inside, certainly a man to watch. Charlie de Valgrijs ran an absolutely storming race in Monaco, finished 4th at the Diamond League there and bettered his personal best by 3 seconds. I will go through the full lineup very shortly, but there, the men's 1500 meter final coming up now. As I said, from the inside out, Charlie de Valgrijs with the fastest personal best in this field, 30:30:62 he's run. Andreas Almgren for Sweden, Jonas Rinner for Finland, Tom Elmer, Switzerland, Marcin Lewandowski for Poland, I've already mentioned the defending champion here, Andreas Dimitrakis for Greece, Kevin Lopez for Spain, Oleg Kajavka for Ukraine, Matteo Spano for Italy, Jakub Holusa for the Czech Republic, and Amos Bertelsmeyer for Germany, and Ravi Duka for France. So these are the men in this 1500 meter final. And there we can see Charlie Grice gone straight to the front to lead this field. 300 meters through in just over 50 seconds. Had a fantastic kick in that race in Monaco, Charlie Grice. The 25-year-old has made several international finals. You can see there he's looking at the screen, seeing himself and how close is the field actually bunched up behind him. The Greek athlete on his shoulder, Andreas Dimitrakis. And there we have the training pair, Jakub Holusa and Marcin Lewandowski, shoulder and shoulder. Probably will have discussed team tactics before the race. The two have just been training in St. Moritz in Switzerland for the last few weeks at altitude, a very popular place. Not just with these guys, but Norwegians, the Ingebrigtsens, Americans regularly going there as well. And as you can see, with the entire field very much bunched up together, some pushing and shoving going on there. Holusa's just making sure that he doesn't trip over the Greek. As the Spaniard now moves into the front, Kevin Lopez, 11-time Spanish champion at 800 meters. 1 European indoor medals. And very experienced runner indeed, the Spanish athlete. There we can see some more tripping. I think Holusa there getting caught out a little. And as you can see, the field still 12 athletes very closely together now. Charlie Grice moving up to the front again. And the French athlete on his shoulder as well. Still in the mix, Marcin Lewandowski, who has a very dangerous kick, had an incredible performance at the Oslo Dream Mile, and then went on to win the Street Mile in Boston just a few days later after barely any sleep. And there we can see now he's getting ready to make his move. But at the moment, before the final lap bell rings, it is Ravi Duka of France leading the field. Charlie Grice there trying to make a move up on the shoulder of Lopez of Spain. And in fourth, Marcin Lewandowski, the home favourite, the poster boy of this championships, on Grice's shoulder. Now it's time to kick it. It's about to see who has the best spelling finish. Holusa in the past has shown form, but hasn't been racing that much this year already. But now Marcin Lewandowski leading the field with 200 meters to go. Charlie Grice still on his shoulder, Lopez still in the mix, Ducana as well, and the Swede also coming through, Andreas Almgren. Holusa now might have left a little too late, but Marcin Lewandowski, roared on by his home crowd, looks to be taking this, pulls away from Charlie Grice. Grice has Lopez on his shoulder, Holusa coming through in fourth, but it's Marcin Lewandowski, the Pole, who takes the win and 12 points for the Polish team.
And dare I say, the biggest cheer of the day, because he's very much a hometown hero, Marcin Lewandowski. As you rightly say, competes for the local club, born and bred in Bydgoszcz, and very much a very, very popular figure here. draped as always by all the Polish winners with the flag by Marek Klaugo, former European champion over 400 metres hurdles, now doing the honours as an infield announcer as we look at this thrilling race unfold. Well, yes, it was fairly quiet during the first 2 laps, as we might expect, until Lopez then threw down the gauntlet. But what a great race over the last lap. Lewandowski, really, I mean, he started out life as a very, very accomplished 800 metre, and he's moved up to 1500 metres. He's now well into his 30s, but still running as well as ever. Charlie Grice doing very well, just a little bit caught short for speed at the very end. Kevin Lopez, another man who's moving up from 800 metres to 1500 metres. Halusa.
Halusa there, as we said, coming through strongly in fourth. He has shown that he has a strong kick, most notably when he took the indoor title a few years ago, thanks to a storming last lap, and as I said, training partner of Marcin Lewandowski, coached by Lewandowski's brother, and that's a good performance for this training group, dare I say.
Yes, Halusa just a little bit unsighted when the big break happened.
Back in the women's triple jump there. As we said, the final round only for the top 4 athletes. Olga Saladuka currently ranked in 4th, thanks to that 14:11 jump from her in the 3rd round. Had already had 14 meters just before that. Just quickly noticing as well, Christine Girish, the European champion, had jumped 13:91 and retired after just 1 round attempt and is ranked in 6th. But this woman here, currently in 4th, can she improve on 14:11? Already notices, doesn't quite get up on the board. As we said, the winds have been turning all day. And 14:11 for her for 4th. Italy's Ottavia Sestorano jumped 14:18 in her 3rd attempt and really moved up from further down and made sure that she gets that 4th jump and see if she can improve on that performance and move higher up. The Italians, of course, been battling for the bronze position in the team rankings at the moment. And can Ottavia Sestorano move up on that 14:18 personal best? Also fouls there, but as I said, personal best for the Italian, 14:18. She will be very pleased with those 10 points for the Italian team, indeed. Won the Italian title earlier this year. 14:05 was her previous personal best and hadn't gone anywhere near 14 meters this year so far. So very good development for her. As we look at the top 2 in this competition, European indoor champion, Ana Pelotero of Spain. 14:27 on the board for her at the moment. Has a personal best of 14:73. Excuse me, that is actually Paris Ski Public history. I moved up. 14:55 her personal best. It's been a long day.
And it happens to the best of us.
Also looks to be over the board there. No improvement for Ana Pelotero, but it's 11 points for Spain in this women's triple jump. And as you can see, what's nice with this 4 attempt final that we're seeing is that really the entire stadium is paying attention to the field events. Anna Pelletero there, 14.27 for her. The winner's confirmed. She likes a bit of a dance when she celebrates. I remember, I think it was in 2016 at the World Indoor Championships, she was celebrating. Obviously won that European title last year in Berlin. Very successful championships for Greece, with Stefanidi taking the pole vault title and Cintoglu in the men's long jump. 14.48 so far. 2 other fouls. Can she improve? Nope. Also, would have been a very good jump, but she knows, managed to not that far over the plasticine, but a foul nonetheless. Pleased with that performance. 12 points for Greece, and actually the Greeks are doing fairly well here in this overall rankings. I don't think we had them this high up initially, but good performance there from Paraskevi Papachristou to win the triple jump.
His name escapes me, but I am right in thinking, I'm pretty sure, that it is indeed the same coach as Militaris Tentoglu.
I think you are right, so looks like a good training group to me.
And just like yesterday, when people were sending in the name of the links, if anybody could actually tell us the name of the coach, do send it in on social media.
We'll keep an eye on that, Phil. Now, there we have a replay. Oh, maybe was there any disqualification? If we're seeing some feet, a close-up of feet.
Indeed we are. It's Kevin Lopez who finished third in that 1500 metres final, who's been penalised for stepping on the curb and on the inside of the track. A little bit harsh. It didn't seem as though he were getting any significant advantage, but the revised results with Spain disqualified and no points going to Lopez means that the Czech Republic move up to third. Everybody else moves up a place. Nevertheless, doesn't affect the top 2. And Marcin Lewandowski gets 12 points. Charlie Grice just behind him, 11 points. Poland and Great Britain, Northern Ireland, followed home by Czech Republic's Jakub Halusa, the top 3 in the revised standings of the men's 1500 metres.
And it does happen in these events, though, with 1500 metres, when you have 12 athletes and it's a tactical race, it's not strung out, there's no pacemakers, and that's when things like that happen. We often see it. We saw it 2 years ago. Adam Schott fell foul of that rule and actually stepped on the inside and was disqualified. So on to the next.
Yes, it's the women's 4x100 metres relays, and the 2 teams, the 2 heats I should say, have been seeded so that there are 6 teams in each of the heats, and you'll see the same with the men's 4x100 metres relays, which are coming up. We have Heat B, which are ostensibly on the season's best, the 6 weaker teams. On the outside, it's Finland with Johanna Kilmanen leading the way. Greece in lane 6, it's Maria Gatu. Greeks, well, having a good day, a few wins for the Greeks. Victoria Ratnikova of Ukraine has the baton in her hand for Ukraine. I've seen a lot of her. Czech Republic, it's Kiara Seidlova. Sweden's Lisa Lia leads the way with Sweden. And in lane 2, it's Achia Del Ponte, the Swiss first leg runner. The other 6 nations come a little bit later on in the second heat. Final A, as it's technically called. Well, on season's best, you have to say that Ukraine are the favourites. And they're usually a very well-drilled quartet. We remember back in 2010 with them winning the European title on that occasion. Not quite as sharp as they were 9 or 10 years ago, but still very useful teams. So from the inside, Switzerland, Sweden, Czech Republic, Ukraine, Greece and Finland. Well, a good start from Ukraine. Anna Plotitsina takes over for the Ukrainians. On the outside as well, Finland running well with Leila Kemppanen. And at the moment, oh, what a dreadful handover by Ukraine, and it's Finland now who take the lead round the bend. Annaline Kortema. But now Switzerland really had a good couple of legs and bringing Switzerland home. Maria Kimumba, Switzerland, emphasising their victory, taking a very good run in 43.11. Well, Majinga Kabunje made such a difference there on that third leg, really changed things around. They're struggling over the first two legs, and then Kabunje doing extremely well round the bend. She is a very good bend runner. Helped certainly a little bit by dreadful final changeover by Ukraine. We'll look at that very closely. I wasn't sure whether a flag went up. We'll look very closely at whether that was indeed a legal change by the Ukrainians. They were in the lead at that point. But Switzerland coming home in front.
But Switzerland, of course, a very good relay team, won the European title back in 2014. If I recall correctly, in front of a home crowd.
Medal, I think. I don't think they won it, but I think you might be right. They got a bronze or a silver, I think. But
of course, as we see there, the Swiss coming through, and here we look at that exchange from the Ukrainian team. And Kabunje coming through very strongly on the inside.
Flawless final change for the Swiss as the Ukrainians desperately try and make up ground.
Would have liked to have seen the Swiss in the A final in that race.
Well, yes, I mean, it's partly seeded, and in fact they haven't had many outings. They were only about the third fastest in this race on season's best, and it was seeded that way. Perhaps a little bit of common sense should have prevailed. And of course the Swiss were making do without Salome Cora as well. So very convincing win in the end by more than a second, a huge margin at this event. Switzerland 43.11, Czech Republic and Ukraine second and third in this race, 44-30, 44-34. And those results will get amalgamated with the final B to bring up the final standings in this event.
You can hear a big roar. I think that was for the women's javelin. Maybe we can get that quickly in before we have the men's 100-meter B final. You can see the crowd reaction. Here are the final results in the women's triple jump. Paraskevi Papakhristou of Greece takes the win, 12 points. And Spain there with Pelotero, 11 points. Personal best for Sestonaro for Italy with that 14.18, and Ukraine Saladuka 14.11. Those are the top finishers. As we see there, the Italian with her personal best in that impressive third round effort. Very good jumping from her indeed. Pelotero, the European indoor champion, couldn't quite challenge the European outdoor champion, Papakhristou. But that was the last round effort, which was a foul. And we're going over to the javelin.
Yes, this is Maria Andrzejczyk, her third round effort. Currently lying in fourth place at the moment. Andrzejczyk has a best of 57.51 at the moment. Oh, that's a bit better. That's a lot better. And she's happy with it. Andrzejczyk's thrown nearly 63 meters this year. This has then been led after that massive first round throw by Alexia Lice at 63.49. Well, just over 60 meters. You can see with that head-on shot the 50 and 60 meter marks. 63.39 Well, doesn't quite topple the Frenchwoman from first place. So no pole position for the pole, if you'll pardon the very poor pun.
Thank God we're nearly done for the night. Might be going drastically down the hill here without puns. B race in the men's 4x100 meters coming up very shortly. Here is the start list. We have Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, Greece, Czech Republic and Finland. Don't think any of those can challenge the European record that is shown there in the right-hand corner. But we will take a lineup shortly. Several of these athletes have, of course, already lined up in either the 100 meters or the 200 meter heats yesterday. Some of them in the finals tomorrow over 200 meters, but this is the B race. Of course, the times here really matter because although this is run as 2 races, points will be awarded based on time. So on the outside lane for Finland, Alatupa, Saarinen, Lehtonen and Laka. Konsta, Alatupa here leading off the Finns. Czech Republic in lane 6. Very familiar phase of Pavel Maslak there, followed by Veleba, Jerka and Zaleski. In lane 5, the Greeks, Konstantinos Sikis, Duvalidis, Trevizares and Garagnanis. In lane 4, the Ukrainian relay, Eric Konstreska is leading off the team. Sokolov, Bodorov and Shmelnik all in that relay. The Swiss, again, Soma Suraram, Reis, Chorat and Petrucciani in that relay, and completing this second or the B heat of this 4x100 meters. The Swedish relay, Joel Groth leading off the relay and then completing the line of Adolfsson, Tornay and Larsson. So B race in this men's 4x100 meters consisting of Sweden, Switzerland, Ukraine, Greece, Czech Republic and Finland, but the times matter. I think it was even last year where we saw the B heat in the end being almost faster than the A races, so it doesn't matter which heat you are in, it all depends on the time. There, Groth for Sweden. Maslak, of course, a very strong bend runner in lane 6 there, leading off the Czech relay. They good off there. Maslak looking good. The Greek relay also looking good with Sikos. Good handoffs there from Maslak. The Czech relay looking to be leading here, have already made up the stagger on the Finnish team outside of them. But it looks a bit tight. Terrible exchange there from the Czechs. Now the Greek relay coming through strongly, as are the Ukrainians there. And the last exchange, the Ukraine's all clear. Greece behind them, Czech Republic in 3rd. But it all went wrong in that second exchange for the Czech Republic that went off so strongly. Ukraine, Sergei Shmelnik bringing it home for the Ukrainian team. But I'm quite intrigued to see a replay of that second exchange. 39:02 the time to remember here, because it was very close.
That could well suffice for some very good points for Ukraine. There won't be too many of the leading teams getting under 39 seconds.
And now pay attention to the Czech relay there. Nearly dropped the baton.
It was Zalewski almost came to a grinding halt just to avoid going out of the zone. Some slightly slicker changes as Ukraine are led home by Sergei Smalek, better known as a 200-meter runner.
And all of these relays will be keeping a very close eye on the next heat.
Well, so the javelin, the last field event to be concluded. We're now in the spotlight round, so to speak. And this is Arantxa Moreno. Well, she's thrown very well indeed, the Spaniard. This hasn't been a competition which has really sparked, although there have been a few 60-meter plus throws, but Moreno, all credit to her for really throwing very close to her best. 57.94, so a season's best for Moreno. She's in 4th place at the moment. See there, Irena Sediva, the Czech thrower. So we've got no Obronikova, no Barbara Spartakova, but Sedikova, that we'll see very shortly. Well, this is Arantxa Moreno, all a bit half-hearted and a bit lackluster, and just comes down around the 52-metre mark. So no improvement for her, but a useful 9 points for Spain. Spain conclude their day with Arantxa Moreno in 4th place. This is Irena Sediva. Well, possibly a little bit surprised to get a call out, but nevertheless she has competed with aplomb. Improved her personal best by 27 centimetres. Quick on the run-up, but no improvement for Sediva, and she just walks out of the front, takes the deliberate red flag, but nevertheless she can be very happy with her performance. 2 throws over 60 metres, including a second round 61.32, set a personal best. Well, Maria Andrzejczyk. For a season's best in the 3rd round with 63.39. Needs to improve by 7 centimetres to take over 1st place. Put the pressure on Alexia Lice. And it's flying, but well, I don't think it's going to challenge 1st place. You can see the superimposed lines there. Nevertheless, good performance by Andrzejczyk. 2nd throw in this competition, well over 60 metres. And she takes the applause of the crowd. Delivers some very valuable points to Poland in their bid for their 1st ever European Team Championship title. Well, just getting some input. Well, she knows she's got 12 points, and France challenging. They've never finished higher than 3rd in these European Team Championships, which they've done on 2 previous occasions, including 2 years ago in Lille. Alexia Lice, well, came here with a personal best of 61.49, which she just threw recently. And that massive 63.46 in the 1st round. And showed it was no fluke with 62.02 in the last round. What could she do now? The Frenchman's got victory confirmed. Another good throw for her. Oh, yes, that's a very nice throw indeed. Perhaps not as far as the 1st round throw, but once again, 3 throws better than her personal best, which she came here with. So really in ripping form, the French woman. Just a little bit short of her personal best, which she got in the 1st round of 63.49, but another throw over 63 metres. Fine series for Alice, who takes 12 points for France, who are having a very good championship so far, as we reach very slowly the halfway point in the European Team Championships. So we'll finish the day with 22 events confirmed. We've had 20 of them so far, including the javelin, just the 2 relays to be concluded.
And there we saw it. We did think that there might have been a problem, and the Czech relay disqualified, which actually means 0 points in that Here we have the confirmation. So Ukraine confirmed winners, Greece in second, and then Switzerland move up with the Czech Republic disqualified and no points, which could have an impact actually on their relegation position, because I think it might be a little tight towards the end. So we will be keeping an eye on that. And it's those things that really do matter when you get 0 points in any of those events.
Well, after 18 events, not including the javelin at this stage, I can tell you that Poland have 161 points. France now a little way back at 153.5 points. Italy still in third with 141 points. Germany just drifting down 131 points. At the bottom, it's very tight indeed. There's only a handful of points covering Greece, Sweden, Finland and Switzerland. And then a battle between Spain, Czech Republic and Ukraine for what potentially could be that fifth and final relegation position. We'll update you with the team standings though, as we now look at the A final of the women's 100 metres with the big guns of European sprinting. You see, well, the German team always extremely well drilled. Confirmation of the women's javelin results, indeed, 2 personal bests there in the top 4, so a very nice competition indeed, headed by France's Alexei Alais with 63.46 and 2 other throws over 62 metres, so a great competition there. Andrzejczyk and Sadova taking second and third for Poland and the Czech Republic, and Arantxa Moreno fourth for Spain. They were the women who contested the spotlight round.
And interestingly, we did see a lot of wind today. Women's javelin seemed to really profit from that, whereas yesterday there was hardly any wind and the men struggled a little. So here we have the team standings now, as Phil was just reading them out very briefly. Poland in the front with 161, France and Italy behind them, Germany slowly drifting away, Great Britain and Northern Ireland somewhere in the middle. And at the bottom, the fight is tied between Finland, Greece, Switzerland and Sweden. Ukraine looking okay so far, but a lot can change with still a lot of events to come tomorrow.
Yes, I don't think those standings include the women's javelin and the women's triple jump.
Yeah, it does say after 18 events.
Yes,
so
we've got those to calculate in. I'm just scribbling down some notes here. I think Poland, well, I think Poland after the next 2 events, 177 points, with France second on 168. But we'll give you full confirmation of the team standings as we go on. We've still got the relays to be concluded.
And a lot can happen in the relays, of course. There's nothing quite like the relays, really. There's always a bit of drama. We've already seen some disqualifications. The Czechs in the men's 4x1 disqualified. And we do see, it's very nice, Alexandra, the Polish photographer there, providing some water to her fellow Pole as they are preparing, just waiting while some interviews are being conducted in field with the Polish athlete in the women's javelin.
So finally the women in the A final of the 4x100 metres have been called to their marks. Fastest on season's best this year are Germany with 41.37, and the French and the British quartets have also gone under 42 seconds this year. I have to say, on paper they would be the favourites, but as always, Poland, as you can imagine, bringing their A game to this event. There you see the French lead-off runner, the individual 100-metre winner, Karol Zahi, leading the way for Poland. Kamila Ziba. Long shot there of the Zavisa Stadium as nightfall descends on Bydgoszcz.
And it's actually stayed dry. I think that's important to note as well.
Confirmation of the teams who'll be lining up. The 6 teams in this A final using lanes 2 to 7. So Italy, Great Britain, Germany, France, Poland and Spain on the outside in lane 7. Well, 42-47, the Germans setting that time in Lille 2 years ago. Not beyond the bounds of possibilities. So Spain with Maria Isabel Perez on the first leg. Camilla Sieber getting the roars of the crowd as she is introduced to the stadium here. Good numbers in the stadium. I estimate probably about 5,000-6,000 here. Carol Zahi hoping to give Spain, I should say France, a good lead. After the first leg, this is Jennifer Montag, very much a stalwart of German teams over the last few years. Helped Germany to a world under-20 record not so long ago. Great Britain, Northern Ireland. And Italy's Gloria Hooper gets them started.
On your marks.
So as they settle into their blocks. From the inside, it's Italy, Great Britain, Northern Ireland, Germany, France, Poland and Spain. In there at the British lead-off runner, Crystal Awuah.
Set.
And Awuah away very quickly for Britain. So too is Zahi, as you might expect from the individual 100-metre winner. Good changeover between the French from Zahi to Ombisa Bazango. And now it's the French storming away. Spain at this stage doing well on the outside, as to the Poles. Germany and Great Britain a little way back. And now the French really storming around with Estelle Rafai having a great bend, well known as a 200-metre runner. Well, slightly sloppy changeover between the French. She's allowed Britain to close. And Britain's Rachel Miller is doing a fine job, but France are going to come home thanks to Sarah Richard. And France 43-10. So a good run from the French. Quite as quick as their recent 42.93, an outing that they had recently, but 12 points for the French.
And you know what's interesting? The French relay is one of the very few who do the underhand baton pass, just like the Japanese. All the others are doing the more traditional. If you pay attention here to the way that they are handing over the baton, it's from underneath, and there are obviously pros and cons for each of these, but we do see teams that don't necessarily always have the strongest individual runners, but that are a bit more consistent with their exchanges, use this exchange. And we can see there the Poles had a bit of a struggle. This one wasn't as clean from the French, and you could see we were just a little close there with Richard on the last leg, maybe not getting away quick enough. Still holds on very nicely in the end, but it is very interesting. I do think that the men also sometimes do it, not as frequently, but it certainly is interesting to watch.
Yes, that terrible second change over by the Poles left Eva Swoboda with just far too much ground to make up, as Poland came home fourth in that particular race. But 12 points for the French, and some pretty good, I mean, yes, it wasn't flawless, but pretty good pattern changing. Rafai on the third leg to Richard on the fourth leg really confirmed their supremacy. Rachel Miller, though, good job on the anchor leg. Certainly reduced the deficit by quite a margin between Britain in second place and the French winners. And the Poles left to regret some quite sloppy pattern changing. You were talking about the How would you describe it? The underhand method?
I think the underhand pass.
Yes. Well, I did notice that second change from the poles was starting out as an overhand pass and ended up being an underhand pass because it all went wrong. Nevertheless, they did get the baton around and looked as though didn't see any flags, although we did see the Czechs disqualified after review.
It is, of course, always interesting with relays because a lot of teams don't often get to run relays as a national team, and when you go into championships you do have to try things out, and you have to try them out in race because it's always different compared to training. So competitions like this, especially with the World Championship still coming up, are very important for all of these teams.
And of course Great Britain, Northern Ireland didn't include Jodie Williams, who's looking a very strong prospect for very good points in double figures. So this is the French confirmed as the winners with 43.09, 12 points, and Switzerland, the winners of the B race, 43.11. They come through to take 11 points. It'd be nice to see France and Switzerland go head-to-head. It wasn't to be. Great Britain, Northern Ireland finishing third in the combined standings, 43-46, and they take 10 points. Germany, Spain, well, those were the teams coming home in the A race, but Switzerland had a storming run in the B race. And yes, I think common sense, knowing their history, should have prevailed and they should have been in the first final. But nevertheless, the Swiss take 11 points in their battle to avoid relegation. So now just the men's 4x100 meters to be concluded, one event to be concluded. But after 21 of 40 events, it's Poland leading the way by 2.5 points from France, 183 to 180.5. Italy doing very well indeed in third place, but some way back in third with 164 points. Germany just out of the top three at the moment with 159 points. Let's move down those standings to 8th place. Ukraine, Greece, Switzerland, Finland and Sweden. Those are the teams in the bottom 5 places at the moment.
And it is interesting because I made some notes yesterday and I had it very close between Poland and Germany in the final standings, which at the moment it doesn't look that way. And then we said it will be close for third between Great Britain, France, Italy and Spain. And so, of course, as you said, Italy are doing very well indeed. And I'm quite intrigued to see what they can do tomorrow.
Well, Sestanaro in that third place with a personal best in the triple jump in the recently concluded triple jump certainly helps. Yes, you go run the rule over the Italian performances, and a good number of them are performing significantly better than you would have expected. One perhaps downside for the Italians, Fabri in the shot put. I thought he was going to get more points in the shot.
Interestingly though, just looking at the start list for this 4x100 meter final, they haven't got their fastest man in the 100 meters in their team, but then again he has already run 2 heats. Maybe somebody should get a bit of a run in. Of course, it's always handy. They've got the likes of Antonio Infantino, good 200 meter runner in there. So very interesting. Seo Sadesaulu was good in the 200 meters yesterday, so he'll be lining up in the individual final tomorrow. But we'll take a closer look at the relays in a bit. They're just getting back into the starting blocks now. Everyone's measured up their exchange zones and run-ups. So there we have it, the final event of the night, the men's 4x100 meter relay with Great Britain and Northern Ireland, Italy, France, Poland and Germany and Spain in this final heat. Who have you got in that one, Phil? Any predictions?
Well, I don't know. I think it's going to be very, very close. I fancy the French.
Who doesn't? Jimmy Vico, of course, is here we can see running the second leg, the longest one. So they've put the strong guy there. And then Christophe Lemaitre, who actually ran decent yesterday in the B heat in the 100 meters, is on the final leg. So,
and they've entrusted the baton on the lead-off leg to Mamadou Fall, who he didn't win his heat yesterday, but had a good 200 meters. He's not one of the most experienced relay runners, which is one of the reasons why they put him in on the start leg, but he's pretty quick across the ground, is Fall, who, as I say, is one of these emerging talents, a bit of a latecomer to the sport, and he's only in his second serious year in sprinting, but has already made a big impact.
British team is interesting as well because it's a mix between experience and youngsters. But let's take a look here. There we have the man we've already seen twice so far, Angel David Rodriguez for the Spanish team in lane 7. German relay being led off by their main 200-meter man, Steven Müller, completed by Schulte, Schmidt and Paul. Polish team, Karol Kwiatkowski is leading off the relay. They've got Kopecz, Slavikowski and Hampel on their team. And we mentioned the French relay a lot. Fall there, the youngster, leading off the relay. Jimmy Vico in second, Zeze and Lemaitre completing that relay. Italy's relay, Desaolu leading off Cantano, Manetti and Infantino. And in lane 2, Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Here we have Dominic Ashwell leading up a youngster onto Oliver Bromby, Richard Kilty, of course, ran a pretty decent 200 meters yesterday, and then Harry Akini-Zariti completing that lineup. So Great Britain in Northern Ireland in 2, Italy in 3, France in 4, Poland in 5, Germany in 6, and Spain in 7.
Set.
There we go, last race of the day also gets away, and Fold there for France has a really good start indeed, already made up way on the pole. And pay attention to the way they hand over also with the underhand baton pass. Jimmy Vico there running very strong indeed on the second leg. Terrible exchange from the French there. The Germans are doing pretty well, and on the outside the Spaniards, but it's France coming home first, and the handoff to Christophe Lemaitre there from Zeze. Michel Paul for the Germans, and Harry Akini-Zariti on the inside coming through strongly as well, but it's Christophe Lemaitre who brings it home for France. But I do want to see that second exchange from Jimmy Vico to Michael Meba Zeze, because again they were very tight indeed.
It's nice to see Christophe Lemaitre, perhaps not in full flow, but certainly doing a very good job and contributing admirably to the French team. He's had injury problems over the last couple of years. The former European Athlete of the Year back in 2012 when he picked up 3 gold medals in Helsinki.
And there we can see that first exchange was pretty good from Fold to Vico, and now this is where you can see they're just far too close. Zeze just didn't get away quick enough, and Vico just ran straight onto him, and this is now Zeze to Lemaitre, which is a little better, but still they're just too close. And for the underhand underhand pass to work, you really need to be able to stretch out the arm a bit further. Paul there and Akini-Zariti both, of course, have run 200-meter races already, but also bringing home second and third there for the relays.
As you say, the French relay techniques could be a bit slicker, but nevertheless, on sheer talent, the 4 men brought France home for 12 points. Does that take them into the lead? Well, I'm sure we'll get the full results standing very shortly. And it seems as though there's no doubt at all that the French get the verdict as well. So not only taking the men's and women's individual 100 metres, but also the men's and women's 4x100 metres.
That's probably going to go in the French newspapers tomorrow. Our colleagues from L'Equipe are already sitting somewhere down further on this tribune. Polish relay there finished in 4th in that race, but of course we'll have to wait and see for the summary of those races.
Yes, with 2.5 points difference. If my calculations are right, I'm not absolutely nailing it. I think Poland have got a 1.5 point lead at the end of this, the second day here in Bydgoszcz at the European Team Championships. Of course, another 18 events tomorrow to bring us to an end of these 2019 European Team Championships. And at this point, just a big shout out to European Athletics international partners, La Gruyere, Eurovision and Spa, for their assistance in bringing you this live stream coming to you from the Super League of the European Team Championships.
And it is interesting, if we take a look at, I didn't think that all the sprints so far, or the short sprints at least, would be won by the French. We have a French winner in the men's and women's 100 meters and in the relay here. And of course there's some chances tomorrow in the 200 as well.
Yes, I think probably in the 200, Kilty, who we saw in action there for Great Britain, is the favourite.
There we have confirmation for that A final. France given the win. No disqualifications in this one, so it only sticks with that disqualification in the first heat with the Czech Republic, Poland there with the season's best, Spain and Italy behind them. And I think this heat was significantly faster overall. There was a fast time, of course, from the Ukraine with 39.02 in that first heat, so they'll move up a little. And here we have the final results there. As we can see, Ukraine moves into fourth, Poland still there, Spain and Italy, and then completing that results sheet is Greece, Switzerland, Sweden and Finland from that first heat. 0 points for the Czech Republic because of a disqualification.
Whole host of season's best there for national teams, but many of Europe's top teams will be going to the IAAF World Championships in Doha at the end of September. Well, it's been a great day of athletics here in Bydgoszcz. Got plenty more though to come. We've got 4 hours of action tomorrow, with the programme getting underway at 3 o'clock local time here in Bydgoszcz. That's Central European time. And we're 2 hours ahead of GMT, in case you're setting your clocks elsewhere in the world. Just waiting now for the confirmation of the team standings to bring this day to a close, and indeed the European Athletics live stream to a close. So just hear the whirring of the computer in the background. Well, there we go. Big deep breath, and indeed France, well, they do have a 1.5 advantage over Poland after 22 events. Poland just a 1.5 in arrears. Italy 21 points back, third place with Germany, 169 points. And then switching our attention to the bottom of that table, Ukraine, Greece, Switzerland, Finland and Sweden. They're the teams in the relegation zone at the moment. Spain seem to have got themselves out of trouble, a good 30 points. Czech Republic just 1 point clear of Ukraine, though, at the bottom. So it's going to be very tight. We've got a fantastic battle over the course of the final day for the European Team Championship title. It's looking as though it could brew up to a battle between France and Poland, neither of which have won before. But don't discount Italy and Germany or Great Britain either.
And it could really go down to the very last events, the 4x4, and both the Polish